Yi-Mo stood with the top 50. When those failed immortals saw Yi-Mo, they hammered their chests in frustration. They didn't expect there was an abstruse immortal middle stage in the top 50. Yi-Mo stood with the top 50. When those failed immortals saw Yi-Mo, they hammered their chests in frustration. They didn't expect there was an abstruse immortal middle stage in the top 50. Yi-Mo felt a little awkward too. He was the only abstruse immortal middle stage in this 50 people. Those few immortal kings noticed too. Especially Su Huan, immortal king. She looked at Yi-Mo strangely. Yi-Mo noticed the red-robed female immortal who came with Su Huan too. She was in top 50 and abstruse immortal tertiary stage. She wasn't challenged too. The teleportation formation to the Blue Lightning Mountain was on the east side of the city. Yi-Mo and them followed a great eternity immortal to the palace. There was 100 people here, 50 abstruse immortals and 50 great immortals. Other than these 100 people, many other immortals could go into the immortal well, but they would need to wait till after the 100 people went in. The top 50 of heaven immortal ranking get in the teleportation formation. After entering the immortal well, choose a place for your cultivation. When all of you get in, the palace would close immediately. The great eternity immortal reminded. Before anyone could say anything, the teleportation formation light shimmered, and in a few seconds Yi-Mo and them were swept away. Moments later, Yi-Mo found that he and all the abstruse immortals appeared in another palace. There were tens of small doors in here. A few abstruse immortals quickly chose a small door and entered. So this was it. Each person had a set cultivation ground. Seeing more and more people go in, Yi-Mo pulled an abstruse immortal peak stage and saluted with his fists. Immortal friend, can people have divine damnation here? The abstruse immortal smiled. Of course, if you reach great immortal, congratulations. Then the abstruse immortal quickly found a door and went in. Immediately, there was only Yi-Mo left in the palace, and only a small door left. Yi-Mo quickly went in there. After he went in, the small door immediately disappeared and shut itself. Walking in tens of meters, Yi-Mo found an immortal pond circulating with white mist. A dense immortal spirit chi surrounded Yi-Mo. Yi-Mo moaned in comfort. This was the best cultivation grounds. The pond wasn't big. There was a round jade cushion in the center. Although the well was called Blue Lightning Immortal Well, it actually had no element. But Yi-Mo was certain this immortal well was much better than the one he found before. This was a diluted immortal pond, and the immortal spirit chi was still this dense. If one cultivated directly in the well, it would be even better. But the time is too short, only half a year. At most, he would be able to reach abstruse immortal tertiary stage. What a waste! Yi-Mo sighed as he flew onto the seat and scanned around with his spirit sense. He immediately found that the immortal spirit chi came from the cushion below him. If he took out time formation disc, Yi-Mo was certain he could reach abstruse immortal peak stage in such a place, and even use this pond to suck over most of the nutrition from the immortal well, but in here, he didn't dare to take out the time formation disc no matter what. He didn't even dare to use the golden page world too. Time formation disc had time law. If an immortal king looked over, he would see it. Yi-Mo admired those who were abstruse immortal peak stage. If they had great unity immortal pill, then they might be able to break through to great unity immortal here. Wait, Yi-Mo suddenly thought of something. What if someone going to the tournament reached great unity immortal here? He thought of what that abstruse immortal peak stage said. Some of them would have to break through to great unity immortal if they continued to cultivate here. So why did they still come in? Yi-Mo slapped his head and realized he wasn't prepared at all. They couldn't cultivate here but still went in. Clearly, they only had one purpose, and that was to collect the pond water. Then they would be able to cultivate wherever they wanted. Yi-Mo sighed. He knew that to refine the pond water, here, own must have formation. Those abstruse immortals must have prepared all sorts of formation discs and storage magic artifact. He was the only one not prepared. Luckily, he didn't need all that. He was a level 3 immortal formation master and had the golden page world. Realizing this, Yi-Mo stopped cultivating. He started setting up formation and completely barricaded this place before collecting the well. Even if it couldn't stop the immortal king's spirit sense, it would at least let him know. Then, Yemo started studying formation that could purify the water. It was hard for others to quickly study a new formation, but not for Yemo. A month later, he could set up a level 3 purifying immortal formation. This was much more powerful than other people's formation discs. Plus, Yemo didn't set up just one. He set up more. The flow of liquid from the pond went from drops to a small stream, and then a big stream into the Golden Page world. When Yemo set up the 4th purifying immortal formation, Yemo knew he didn't need to cultivate nor set up formations anymore. The water he would get in half a year was definitely enough for him to reach abstruse immortal peak stage. The effect of what Yemo did began to show up in other immortal ponds. Those abstruse immortals sensitive to immortal spirit chi began to feel less immortal spirit chi. Clearly, they didn't expect someone to be this shameless setting up a level for purifying immortal formation. They guessed that everyone was cultivating, and thus the immortal pond was being used up. Yemo slowly changed all the level 3 immortal formation to level 4 immortal formations. At the 4th month, Yemo felt the pond water lessen again, and even became scarce. He knew he couldn't keep purifying anymore. He had collected almost all the pond water here. He should leave some for others. Yemo put away all the formations and even removed all the spirit sense shielding formation and acted like nothing happened and began cultivation. 3 days later, a powerful spirit sense scanned past Yemo's spirit pond. It didn't stop and left after one scan. Yemo was frightened, however. If he didn't think of leaving some for others, his spirit sense barrier formation would be found even if the purifying formations weren't found. Then he would be the #1 suspect. There was one more month. Yemo just stopped cultivation. The density of the pond water was very low now. It wasn't much help to his cultivation anymore. So he just spent this month studying formation. There was one more month. Yemo just stopped cultivation. The density of the pond water was very low now. It wasn't much help to his cultivation anymore. So he just spent this month studying formation. On the Blue Lightning Mountain, some immortals collecting herbs had been teleported out. The 3 immortal kings stayed on the mountain. Pingzhou, immortal king. What did you see just then? Su Huan saw Pingzhou, immortal king, scan the cultivation palace of the heaven immortals and great immortals and frowned. The 2 palaces had spirit sense shielding function. Even if an immortal king wanted to scan in, he would need help from the formation. Kaifeng also looked at Pingzhou. The immortal spirit chi of the well suddenly became scarce, and they immediately knew. That's why they came to check. Before, even when half a year was up, the immortal well wouldn't become this low in purity. However, this time there was only 4 months, and the pond became this scarce. Pingzhou was confused himself. I saw nothing strange. Just some abstruse immortal peak stage using formation to separate the pond water. Impossible. If they just used formation to separate pond water, that speed wouldn't even be as fast as their cultivation. How could it let all the immortal pond density drop this low, and even affect the immortal well? Kaifeng frowned. Perhaps the immortal spirit chi of the well itself lowered. I think more time needs to be in between the next opening of the well. Otherwise, this would only damage the immortal well. Su Huan said heavily. I agree. The Blue Lightning immortal well was one of the most important resources of Zhong Piao heaven. There was a lot at stake. A month or so later, Yemo and the immortals were teleported to the square. Although Yemo took more than half of the well, most of the immortals who went in still grew in power. Yemo was the only person who didn't improve at all. He was still abstruse immortal middle stage. People said nothing, but some people still shook their heads at Yemo. It was such a waste for him to use such a good resource. Anyone else would be able to reach abstruse immortal peak stage, or at least tertiary stage, in half a year, but his power was absolutely the same. The great eternity immortal leading them in was there waiting for them. He said loudly, the immortal well cultivation ends now. Everyone has half a day to buy the pills and magic artifact you need. Half a day later, we will be taking Heaven Domain immortal ship to Wenchong Heaven Domain and then take teleportation formation to Yuan Le Heaven from there. Everyone couldn't wait to go out. Some abstruse immortal peak stage wanted to sell their purified pond water to exchange for pills. Others wanted to use their contribution points. They also needed to bid their sect farewell. For Yemo, he needed to spend all of his contribution points. He could exchange them at other heaven domains, but it wasn't much useful at Yuan La Heaven. He only had tens of thousands of immortal crystals on him. He needed to exchange all these contribution points to immortal crystals. Yemo could only go to big immortal towers to exchange immortal crystals. That would make him lose out a lot of immortal crystals, but it was impossible to exchange 10 million contribution points in a rush in the black market. Even if there was such black markets, Yemo didn't dare to go. One mistake, and he could lose his life. The biggest tower in Blue Mo Immortal City was Shuangju Tower. Their immortal pill and magic artifact business was the best. When Yemo walked in, he saw a few people he knew already. They were all abstruse immortal who went to the immortal well. They were clearly preparing for the Dao-seeking tournament. When they saw Yemo come in, only one abstruse immortal middle stage nodded to him. The rest didn't seem to see him. To them, an abstruse immortal middle stage could only rely on help to get into the immortal well. Such person going to Yuan La Heaven was a waste. Yemo didn't care what others thought of him at all. He just came to the third level of the Shuangju Tower. It was filled with high-level immortal spirit beast and materials. Yemo was very interested in them. Yemo bought a large pile of immortal spirit herb and immortal materials above level 4. Even the tower rarely sees a mass buyer like Yemo, so they just sent a female immortal to follow Yemo everywhere and attend to him. The abstruse immortal middle stage who nodded to Yemo couldn't resist coming to Yemo, immortal friend. Although we're representing Zhongpiao Heaven to go to Yuan La Heaven, we can't stay there. If you spend all your contribution points here, you would need to earn more when you come back. Yemo dazed for a moment. He didn't expect one couldn't stay at Yuan La Heaven. He was planning to not come back. Can one not stay in Yuan La Heaven? Not even if you go into Dao-seeking Tower? Yemo frowned and asked. The abstruse immortal smiled bitterly. Of course you can if you enter the Dao-seeking Tower, but how many can go into the Dao-seeking Tower? Even the prodigies of Yuan La Heaven can rarely go in. There's 100 people from Yuan La Heaven in the tournament, so in total, there are 600. One could stay behind if he gets top 200. But other than Martial Brother Ouyang Yi and Purple Goddess and them, the rest has no hopes. Yemo realized that this guy meant he had no hopes of getting into top 200. Yemo was very confident, however. He might not get first, but a top 30 should be fine. The reason he didn't dare to say he was number 1 was because the immortal realm was boundless and there were too many prodigies. Who knew if there would be a second and third Yan Jiutian? Thank you, immortal friend. Yemo saluted with his fists. The abstruse immortal saw that Yemo didn't really get it into his brain but didn't care, and just left with the other abstruse immortals. The female immortal treated Yemo with even greater respect hearing he was competing at Yuan La Heaven. Yemo was taken to a grand tower, and here he saw cultivation methods marked at 50 million contribution points, magic artifact marked at 40 million contribution points. Yemo couldn't afford any of them. Well, illusion crystals? Yemo's eyes focused on a fist-sized aqua material. This was level 7 immortal material. This was the best thing to upgrade his Zisu with. The will illusion crystal could make the magic artifact feel ethereal and be traceless. This is why the will illusion crystal is 10 times more expensive than other level 7 immortal materials. Yes, master. This is level 7 immortal material, will illusion crystal. It's one of the best materials for forging top-grade immortal artifact. Holding a magic artifact made with will illusion crystal can increase your power by 10%, the female immortal said. Yemo looked at the price. 63 million contribution points, so expensive. This was almost 100 million immortal crystals. The low heaven domain really couldn't compare with middle heaven domain. A black heaven domain immortal ship left Zhongpiao Heaven and went into the void. A black heaven domain immortal ship left Zhongpiao Heaven and went into the void. Yemo was in a luxurious room now. The immortal spirit chi here was extremely dense, and there were free immortal fruits and wines. He could go onto the deck at any time. This was his first time enjoying such luxury. The 50 abstruse immortals going to Yuan, La Heaven all had such rooms, and had 3 immortal kings to protect them. They could ask immortal king questions at any times. Almost all of them tried to ask the 3 immortal kings all sorts of questions. Sometimes, something that troubled them for many years would be easily explained by an immortal king. This was unimaginable for any abstruse immortal. But there was only one person who didn't want such benefit, and that was Yemo. Other than asking Ping Zhou, immortal king, a moderately hard question, he spent most of his time in his room. If it wasn't to avoid suspicion, he wouldn't ask a single question at all. After he timidly asked a question that many abstruse immortals can answer, other abstruse immortals were speechless towards him. The question wasn't easy, but as an abstruse immortal who could go to Dao's seeking tournament, asking such question was not good enough. Yi Mo cowered behind the others and didn't seem to dare to ask a second question after seeing the contempt in others' eyes. When he returned to his room, he finally breathed easy. He just had too much pressure facing 3 immortal kings. Now that he asked a question and was sneered at, he wouldn't be suspected even if he doesn't come out again. Yi Mo spent all of his 14 million contribution points, and other than exchanging for materials, he also got 50 million immortal crystals. He gave the last 1,000 contribution points with a jade card to the female immortal serving him. Is that abstruse immortal middle stage Mo-ing? Ping Zhou, immortal king's spirit sense, scanned Yi Mo, who dazedly sat in his room, and shook his head. Su Huan, immortal king, nodded. Yes, I especially researched about him. He seemed to be lucky and found many beast cores that people hid. That's how he reached the contribution points ranking. He's in solo cultivator. He doesn't seem old, but his mind is too weak and can't take pressure. He doesn't dare to ask a second question just because he was laughed at. He doesn't even dare to face those who laugh at him. He really can't achieve much in the future. If his willpower was a little stronger and dared to ask us more questions, he would be able to reach abstruse immortal tertiary stage before Wenchong Heaven. This is such a waste of a spot. Ping Zhou, immortal king, shook his head. Kai Feng, immortal king, laughed. Never mind. Even if it wasn't a waste, one spot if useless to us. Ping Zhou nodded and said, there are quite a few good seeds this time. That Ouyang Yi, purple rain goddess, Su Ji, Chu Xiangzi, and Su Huan goddesses Milan are all good. I'm quite hopeful towards this tournament. Perhaps this time we can break a record. Kai Feng, immortal king, laughed. Ping Zhou, immortal king, I think you missed one. That Mengyong abstruse immortal tertiary stage is very good. When he challenged someone, he didn't even use his main magic artifact and defeated his opponent. When someone challenged him, he also won easily. You're saying that abstruse immortal with a red mark on his forehead? Ping Zhou, immortal king, asked. That's right, him. Kai Feng, immortal king, nodded. On the deck, 30 or so abstruse immortal were looking into the void. Doing this could not only improve one's understanding of magic, but also enlighten one's heart and make it easier to break through in solitary cultivation. Did you see Ping Zhou, immortal king's face? That Mo-ing wasted a spot. The 3 immortal kings aren't happy. Someone spoke about Yi Mo, sigh, an abstruse immortal middle stage. I don't know where he got so many contribution points. Just look at his cowardly act, and you know he's not from a big sect. Wouldn't it be better to ask him to transfer his spot to someone else? Look at the question he asked. Should that be something asked by an abstruse immortal participating in the Dao Seeking tournament? My face was burning with embarrassment after he said that. Yeah, because of his question, the 3 immortal kings are doubting our overall ability. Never mind, that guy is quite self-conscious and stopped asking. He still doesn't come out of his room now because he knows shame. Plus, no one wants to miss out on the Dao Seeking tournament. You can't blame him. Ji Zhenghong just realized now that Yi Mo didn't have any background. He was regretful. He should have challenged Yi Mo. A pale yellow-dressed female immortal suddenly sneered. Talking behind people's backs is very honorable. Then, the yellow-dressed female immortal left the deck and went back into her room. We didn't say anything about her. Why does she care? The round-faced abstruse immortal tertiary stage grumbled. I think we misunderstood the three immortal king. They wouldn't be unhappy just because of Mo Ying's question. It's because Mo Ying didn't dare to ask another question after everyone looked down on him. That's why they are disappointed. An abstruse immortal peak stage stood out and said. Everyone knew this guy. He was abstruse, ranking 4th Chu Xiangzi. Everyone agreed to him after he said this. Some people even wanted to call Mo out and tell him about this, but soon they gave up on this thought. They were afraid Mo would disappoint the three immortal king masters. Mo Ying. Suji murmured this familiar name, remembering Mo Ying's ranking rising non-stop and eventually beating him. But this cheating guy was worthless to him. The immortal ship flew rapidly in the void. The abstruse immortals would either go look at the void or ask the immortal kings questions. One person was of exception, and that was Mo. Everyone knew why he didn't dare to come out now. Later, people completely forgot about him. 3 months later, the ship stopped at the teleportation formation to Yuan Le Heaven. Finally, everyone saw Mo again. Many people had gathered at the teleportation formation. These people came from other heaven domains, and also was going to the Dao Seeking Tournament. Only when Chong Heaven has teleportation formation to Yuan Le Heaven in the Middle Heaven domains. If they didn't take teleportation formation, it would take more than a decade to fly to Yuan Le Heaven. The teleportation formation to Yuan Le Heaven was super long-distance teleportation formation. Other than immortal kings, everyone else would feel dizzy. Even Mo was of no exception, but he was in a much better state than others. However, Mo pretended he was worse than others. He heard that some people would stay in the Dao Seeking Tower for 200 years. To him, he would just complete his god arts and then leave. He would never go back to Zhong Piao Heaven again. Mo and them rested for a few days before coming to the Dao Seeking Square outside the Dao Seeking Tower. The square was filled with people. This square was much larger than the Blue Lightning Square. Ouyang Yi and them were prodigies in Zhong Piao Heaven, but in Yuan Le Heaven, they were nothing. Zhong Piao Heaven's abstruse ranking was weaker than ordinary immortals at Yuan Le Heaven. They clearly knew this, so they didn't act like they were superior as before. Mo listened and was scared that an immortal monarch would suddenly come. Immortal kings couldn't see through his secrets, but what about an immortal monarch? Blood-clothed immortal Xue Qingxian is here. See that his heaven sword immortal Fu Lingtian. Oh, Xianlun goddess is here too. Ouyang Yi and them were talking quietly on the side. Mo wanted to laugh. They were glorious like that before, but now they switched positions. From other people's discussions, Mo soon knew who blood-robed immortal Xue Qingxian was. He was the most murderous abstruse immortals in Yuan Le Heaven. He can easily kill Great Unity Immortal. Those who offended Xue Qingxian would be killed no matter how far he ran. This person also liked to bring his anger on others. If you offend him, even after you were killed, he would still kill your friend if he met him. From other people's discussions, Mo soon knew who blood-robed immortal Xue Qingxian was. He was the most murderous abstruse immortals in Yuan Le Heaven. He can easily kill Great Unity Immortal. Those who offended Xue Qingxian would be killed no matter how far he ran. This person also liked to bring his anger on others. If you offend him, even after you were killed, he would still kill your friend if he met him. It was this that Xue Qingxian got the title Blood-Robed Immortal. He has a spirit hound that can sniff you out no matter where you went. Heaven Sword Immortal Fu Lingtian was the most talented sword immortal in Yuan Le Heaven. He was top 10 of the Yuan Le Heaven Immortal leaderboard. He could also kill Great Unity Immortal, but unlike Blood-Robed Immortal, he has his principles. Xianlun Goddess was the most proficient at using god arts in the Yuan Le Heaven Immortals. Under her god art, even Great Unity Immortal would die. She was also someone no one dared to mess with in Yuan Le Heaven. She is cold and prideful, but as long as you don't offend her, she usually wouldn't look for trouble. Every prodigy of Yuan Le Heaven seemed to have their own glory. Mo was enjoying the good story time when suddenly a fierce force rose from the square and pressed down. Mo was shook and immediately looked down, taking back his force and trying to calm himself down. It wasn't just EMO, but all the immortals in the square stopped their discussions. The powerful force seemed to have blown past like a breath, and a gray-robed immortal landed on the main stage and disappeared. Soon, tens more immortals landed, and EMO found that the 3 immortal kings of Zhongpiao Heaven were among them. Tens of immortal kings gathered at the Dao-seeking square. That pressure seeped out again. Even though the immortal kings didn't do it intentionally, other immortals didn't dare to breath loudly anymore. EMO breathed easy. He noticed that the gray-robed middle-aged immortal was also an immortal king, but probably immortal king tertiary stage. He didn't know if the scene was worth an immortal monarch coming, or if there was a mortal monarch in middle heaven domains at all. No one dared to discuss, and EMO didn't know who this gray-robed immortal king was. The gray-robed immortal king scanned everyone and said loudly, "I'm Yula Heaven he immortal king, the person responsible for the Dao-seeking tournament." EMO felt like his clothes were being burned when he immortal king scanned him. EMO was shocked. This he immortal king was too scary. The Freedom King was nothing compared to this he immortal king. This Dao-seeking tournament is very important. Everyone who had participated in Dao-seeking tournament knows that only heaven immortals can participate, but the results affect whether the great immortals and status immortals of each heaven domain can go into Dao-seeking tower. EMO didn't understand this. He had never heard about this part before. This tournament will be divided into 3 rounds, a total of 600 participants. Because this time it happens to be the opening of the 7 refined tower that opens every 100,000 years, the first round of the tournament will be trial in the 7 refined tower. Everyone can form teams, but each team must not have more than 7 people. Before he finished, he immortal king's voice was covered by all the discussions. EMO had never heard of the 7 refined tower, but from the looks of the immortals around him, this 7 refined tower seemed scary. Meanwhile, the Yuanla Heaven participants were rather calm. From their discussion, EMO knew that the 7 refined tower was divided into 7 levels, but never opened until every 100,000 years. Each level was a crazy and bloody world. The higher up you go, the more dangerous. Most ordinary immortals rarely survive. When everyone's discussion died down a little, he immortal king pressed down with his hands, and the discussion stopped completely. The 7 refined tower is indeed very dangerous, but the fortunes there are amazing too. The immortal spirit herb and rare materials are very precious. Anything you get you can keep. There are 7 levels. The team that passes the first level gets 1 point, second level 5 points, third level 10 points, fourth level 20 points, fifth level 40, sixth level 80, seventh level 160 points. Of course, this isn't the only means to get points. There are a lot of 7 refined stones in the tower. The more color the stone has, the more points. 1 colored stones are worth 1 point. 7 colors are worth 7 points. I need to remind everyone that no matter how many colored stones, there would be a mortal spirit beast guarding them. Of course, everyone who goes in can get a transmission rune. You can crush it in time of danger to come out. After the match ends, teams will lose 2 points for every member that dies. The square was dead silent now. There was a hole in the rules. This meant that it allowed 2 teams to attack each other. If one team kills someone from the other team, not only would they get the 7 refined stones, but they would also make the team lose points. EMO didn't care about this. He was thinking about what the 7 refined stones were. He, Immortal King, said calmly, the top 10 teams of the first round can each get a Heaven Immortal spot into the Dao-seeking tower. The second and third can get a Great Immortal spot on top of that. The first squad can also get a Status Immortal stop on top of all that. EMO finally understood why the Dao-seeking tournament was related to status and Great Immortals going in the Dao-seeking tower. It was decided based on the results of the first 3 rounds. Kai Feng Immortal King didn't say this, because he knew it was impossible for Zhongpiao Heaven to get this. But EMO could guess that the Immortal Kings didn't want to give up on this. Seeing everyone understand, he, Immortal King, nodded. All the participants now come with me to teleport inside the 7 refined tower. I hope everyone can get a good rank and contribute to your heaven domain, so your Immortal Kings didn't send you over in vain. EMO looked at the 3 Immortal Kings from Zhongpiao Heaven and could understand why they felt bad. Every time, they could only see other immortal kings go in while they had to go home. When the contestants came to the 7 refined tower square, there were hundreds of thousands of people here, and more were coming. Some merchant towers set up signs saying buying immortal spirit beast cores from 7 refined tower and high-level immortal spirit herb, as well as materials for a high price. Some sects also put up signs wanting to take in prodigy immortals from the 7 refined tower. Some talented immortals would definitely want to stay at Yuan La Heaven, and a good sect was important. People needed to form squads before going in, and the contestants soon formed their own teams. Yi Mo found the Zhongpiao Heaven soon formed 7 squads, with each squad having 7 people. No one wanted to be with him. Everyone looked at Yi Mo and had a strange face. Even the tens of immortal kings looked at him. Although they knew no one wanted to team up with him, probably due to his weak power, but even so, he shouldn't be ignored by everyone. Just how bad was he with people? Everyone looked at Yi Mo and had a strange face. Even the tens of immortal kings looked at him. Although they knew no one wanted to team up with him, probably due to his weak power, but even so, he shouldn't be ignored by everyone. Just how bad was he with people? The other heaven domains had squads of 4, 5, 6, and 7. Only Zhongpiao Heaven was all 7 people squads. The weakest guy was left out. Yi Mo looked down and said nothing. He acted as though he was very uneasy, as though he was worried about going in 7 refined tower alone. In fact, he really didn't want to be exposed in front of everyone like this. It was fine if they were below status immortal, but with this many immortal kings staring at him, if they all used spirit sense to check him, he would be over. Luckily, most people had sympathy for Yi Mo, who looked down and said nothing. Some people was contemptuous that someone like Yi Mo came to waste a spot. Some immortal kings never thought of using spirit sense to check Yi Mo, this abstruse immortal middle stage. The 3 immortal kings from Zhongpiao Heaven shook their heads too. They weren't happy with the contestants abandoning Yi Mo, but also disliked Yi Mo's timid attitude. The first round hasn't even begun, and Zhongpiao Heaven was being laughed at. Su Ji saw Yi Mo and shook his head. If Yi Mo didn't get this result by cheating, he might help Yi Mo say something, but Yi Mo deserved this. That yellow-robed female immortal also looked at Yi Mo and was speechless too. One really couldn't sympathize with him. No wonder no one wanted to team up with him. Everyone was trading maps of the tower, while he looked down, not daring to scan his spirit sense out. Without a map, he wouldn't even be able to get up to level 2. Immortal King seemed to know the Zhongpiao Heaven Immortal Kings were a little awkward, so he broke the silence and said, "Please collect jade cards as a team and enter the teleportation formation." Yi Mo looked at his team card. It was 79. There was nothing else. Yi Mo knew that with this jade card, it could record his team's progress, just like contribution points jade card. Other teams had many people, but every person still had a jade card, and they were interconnected. Crushing the jade card would teleport you out, and the points you got would count towards the team's points. There were 106 teams. The teleportation formation was very fast, and every 10 seconds, one team was teleported away. In less than half an hour, all the teams had been teleported in. Yi Mo was the last, as he had the least person in the team. In order to not make the immortal kings of each domain disappointed early, the screen outside only showed the team's rank and points, but didn't point out which heaven domain it belonged to. In less than 5 minutes, the 11 ST squad got 1 point and became first. When Yi Mo was teleported in, he landed in a fiery red thorn brush. There was no one around him. This was a random teleportation. As soon as Yi Mo landed, 2 red level 1 thorn immortal spirit beast attacked. Yi Mo casually slashed with Zisu, and the 2 immortal spirit beasts were killed. However, there was no points for killing BS in here. Yi Mo found a rock and scanned his spirit sense out standing on it. There were swamps, thorns, brushes everywhere. All sorts of insects ravaged the place. Some strange immortal spirit herb grew in strange corners, but they were all low-level immortal spirit herb. Yi Mo felt that the first level of this tower was boundless. His spirit sense seemed to have been suppressed to 10,000 kilometers radius. Yi Mo frowned. The contestants of Yuan Le Heaven would know where the entrance to level 2 was and had a map. He had nothing. He didn't know that every team had a map except for him. Yemo didn't want to stay at level 1. Even if he found 7 refined stone, the color was too low. It was a waste of time. This level was probably prepared for Hollow Immortal and Golden Immortals. Yemo released Blue Moon, wanting to find a place out. It would be best to find a team from Yuan Le Heaven and get a map from them. Yemo just flew out a few hundred km, and a powerful whirlpool appeared in his spirit sense. Yemo was fraught and quickly maneuvered Blue Moon a few km away before dodging that whirlpool. When he scanned his spirit sense back, the whirlpool was gone. This was only first level. It seemed he needed to be careful. Yemo didn't get off Blue Moon, but just expanded his spirit sense out. Half a day later, Yemo still had no idea about the entrance to level 2. He killed quite some flying immortal spirit beasts on the way. There were level 1 and level 2. Some of them had stealth capabilities, but that was nothing to Yemo. Which idiot is this? He dares to fly this fast on flying magic artifact in the 7 refined tower. Yemo found the 4 before they found him and rushed over, without hesitation. Haha, it's that idiot that no one wants to team up with. Pity he doesn't have much on him. He's coming towards us. His flying magic artifact isn't bad. Yemo came before them. For friends, may I ask if you have 7 refined tower map? Yemo saluted with his fists. Yes, but you need to pay some price. One sharp-chinned, abstruse immortal sneered. Yemo frowned. I know. How many immortal crystals? We don't need immortal crystals, just leave behind your flying magic artifact. Oh? And your storage ring. Another abstruse immortal laughed. In their eyes, Yemo was here to give them storage ring and flying maw. I'll add something, your life will be kept here too. Otherwise, we Tang Yao Heaven can't take the blame. Another abstruse immortal said. Seeing this, Yemo immediately decided to kill them. There were no points in level 1, and yet they still wanted to kill him. They were purely trying to rob him. Tang Yao Heaven gave Yemo a very bad impression. The ship he was on with Zhenbingyu was towards Tang Yao Heaven. In that case, I'll give this stone to you. Yemo sneered, and World Rock was released. A black mountain was dominant immortal essence smashed down. You're asking to die. Seeing Yemo dare to attack, these abstruse immortals were furious. This loner abstruse immortal middle stage dared to attack them. Rumble. Rumble. The abstruse immortal tertiary stage who was attacked by Yemo barely managed to release a shield, but this shield was like paper to the World Rock. It was instantly torn apart. Splurge. The World Rock just paused a tiny moment before falling on this abstruse immortal tertiary stage. Yemo planned to kill with one strike. He didn't hold back at all. Even the abstruse immortal storage ring was pulverized. Then, the World Rock smashed at the second abstruse immortal. Yemo wasn't worried. He believed more than one of them would have the map. The other 3 reacted at the same time. Other than that abstruse immortal being smashed, the other 2 was joyful instead. They could tell that this black rock was a powerful magic artifact. If they killed Yemo, this would be theirs. The 2 abstruse immortal tertiary stage released their magic artifact without hesitation and attacked Yemo at the same time. Seeing this, Yemo breathed easy. He was scared someone would try to run it this time. If someone did, he wouldn't be able to kill them all. He wasn't from the Zhongpiao Heaven. He came to the tournament for himself. If the 3 immortal kings of Zhongpiao Heaven didn't protect him, it would be big trouble for killing Tang Yao Heaven contestants. His immortal essence flooded into the World Rock while hacking over with Zisu. The second abstruse immortal being attacked by the World Rock released a defense spell magic artifact, but it still couldn't stop Yemo's World Rock. Yemo's immortal essence was far beyond ordinary abstruse immortal plus, he was using the World Rock. Crack. The bell magic artifact shattered. The abstruse immortal tertiary stage wasn't able to withstand the World Rock's terrifying power, and his body was smashed to a pie. His essence spirit was devoured by Shadowless. Yemo killed 2 abstruse immortal tertiary stage instantly in one move. The other two were very shocked and knew things weren't good. Yemo was able to release Sisu while using the world rock, meaning that he had far superior spirit sense and immortal essence than them. If they still didn't run now, they would be idiots. That abstruse immortal peak stage saw Yemo's strength earlier, and just when he was about to crush his jade card and run, he found he couldn't. Sword domain. He was bound by sword domain. In his shock, the abstruse immortal peak stage burned his immortal essence like crazy. He just needed 1 second. No, half a second. The illusion cloud domain kill strikes SWPRD domain easily tore through his sword veil. While he was recovering, the sword ray easily cut apart his body in less than half a second. Seeing Yemo instantly kill 3 people, the last abstruse immortal was completely dazed. His hands were shaking. He wanted to take out his jade card and crush it, but he found his sea of consciousness was in chaos. He couldn't even hold the jade card. Sisu turned around in a purple beam and sliced the last guy from waist in half. Yemo's face was very pale after instant killing 4 people. If the 4 didn't run, he wouldn't need to use such efforts, but if he relaxed a little bit, there would be someone to teleport out. The hardest kill was the 4th person. He used his spirit sense blades to attack this abstruse immortal and make him unable to activate the jade card. This was very taxing on his spirit sense. Luckily, this was an abstruse immortal tertiary stage. If it was an abstruse immortal peak stage, Yemo would probably spit a mouthful of blood and still might not be able to lock the person now. He put away 3 storage ring. Yemo didn't stop at all and immediately left the scene. 15 minutes later, Yemo set up a simple stealth formation in the forest and took out 3 storage ring. As he expected, other than pills and immortal crystals, there were 3 maps. The jade slip was very simply, however, and only had where to find the entrance to the next level. It also had some basic knowledge about the 7 refined tower, to avoid void whirlpools, and some stealthed immortal spirit beast. It also said where the 7 refined stones would most likely occur. It was usually at dense spirit chi places while immortal spirit beast guarding. This was enough for Yemo. He packed away everything and left as quickly as possible. He was going to level 2. The first level was useless to him. Yemo thought the 7 refined stone would be a forgery material usually hidden underground on some rock. But when he found a 7 refined stone, he knew he was too naive. It was a material indeed, but it grew on a plant with no leaves nor flowers. There was indeed a level 2 immortal spirit beast guarding it. The single-colored stone had 7 sides and each side was even in size. Yemo scanned with his spirit sense and couldn't tell if it was forgery or pill concoction material. Yemo even captured a sliver of fire element in this. The rock was yellow on one side and gray on the other sides. Yemo didn't throw it into the jade card. He threw it into his golden page world. He felt he needed to study this. If he didn't have enough points in the end, he could throw it back. Yemo found 3 more rocks on the way and threw them all into the golden page world. Half a day later, Yemo found the entrance to the 2nd level. This was just a small teleporting whirlpool. Yemo's spirit sense scanned a few teams were coming over this way too. He didn't stop and went in the whirlpool quickly. Moments later, he was teleported to level 2. The immortal spirit chi here was much denser than level 1, but the space seemed more volatile. Yemo found that after reaching level 2, his jade card showed 1 point. This meant that 79th team had 1 point. Yemo threw a 7 refined stone inside, and the points became 2. Yemo didn't stay at level 2 for long. There were level 3 immortal spirit beast and even 3 colored 7 refined stone, but this wasn't where Yemo wanted to stay. At level 2, he found 6-7 refined stones and went into level 3. Yemo wasn't just searching for 7 refined stones. He found the immortal spirit herbs here were very old. Even the level 2 and level 3 immortal spirit herb were tens of thousands of years old, some even 100,000 years. Yemo stayed at level 3. Level 3 had level 4 immortal spirit herb and level 4 immortal spirit beast. From this, it was obvious that at level 4 there would be level 5 immortal spirit beast. A week later, Yemo killed more than 10 level 4 immortal spirit beast and got tens of level 4 immortal spirit herbs and many level 3 immortal spirit herb. He also got 9 3-colored 7 refined stones and 1 4-colored 7 refined stone. There were a few times he almost encountered other teams, but he carefully avoided them. Yemo didn't want to meet with these people. He wanted to go to level 4. Before going there, Yemo decided to increase his power to abstruse immortal tertiary stage. The 7 refined tower square screen showed clearly the points of the teams. The first-ranked team, Team 11, was at 83 points. The second was Team 35, who was 81 points. The lowest-ranked Team 41 was 0 points. Why is there still a 0-point team? Someone asked. Without a doubt, it's that Zhong Piao Heaven one-man team. That guy is pitiful. But surely he got at least one 7 refined stone? Hard to say. Maybe he really didn't get one. Would he have been killed by immortal spirit beast? Impossible. There would at most be level 2 immortal spirit beast at level 1 of the tower. That guy is an abstruse immortal middle stage. He can take on level 2 immortal spirit beast. But it's possible he was annihilated by another team. Some people laughed. The tens of immortal kings were also looking at the scoreboard, discussing about cultivation as well. Clearly, they could hear the discussions of the low-level immortals. Kai Feng Immortal King and Peng Zhou Immortal King's face was sunken. Su Huan Immortal King's face was green. She regretted bringing that Mo Ing to Yuan Le Heaven. A white light blinked and a 6-man squad was teleported to level 3. A white light blinked, and a 6-man squad was teleported to level 3. I see a level 4 Jilon fruit. It seems there are quite a lot of good things at level 3. One person said. Before he finished, a piercing screech of metal sounded, and then a dark shadow covered the space. Not good. It's spirit-sucking blood bat, run. One experienced abstruse immortal tertiary stage immediately called out in shock. The rest of the people realized that this black mass was spirit-sucking blood bat. They were immediately about to retreat. However, it was too late now. The flock of bats surrounded the 6 completely. There were bats from level 2 to level 4. Even though they had used their last means, but it was useless against so many bats. In a short time, 2 abstruse immortals were torn to bloody mist by the bats. The remaining 4 people had a sliver of despair. They could only crush their jade card and teleport out. 3 months trial, and they didn't even last 1 month. When the 4 came to the square, they realized they weren't the first. There were at least 40 people who were out. Yemo just cultivated in his golden page world for 3 days, but that was a year or so in the time formation disk. He broke through to abstruse immortal tertiary stage without any trouble. 3 days later, Yemo left the golden page world and hid his power to be abstruse immortal middle stage. He had decided to go to 7 refined tower level 4. Shueqingxian, your power is indeed strong, but there's a chronological order to things. We've been here for half a day, and we killed that 3-headed bear. Now that we're going to collect 7 refined stones, you're going to rob us? One pretty female immortal's face was bursting red. There were 4 abstruse immortals behind her. However, Shueqingxian looked down and said nothing. There were 3 people behind him too, but his teammates were full of contempt. Clearly, they knew that the blood-robed immortal could deal with everything himself. Shueqingxian laughed and suddenly sneered, if you disagree then attack together. Only I will be fighting. The other 3 teammates laughed too, and one of them said, Martial Brother Shui, we'll go somewhere else. We won't affect your business. When you're done, we'll rendezvous, will you? The abstruse immortal then looked at the pretty female immortal strangely before leaving. Moments later, the 3 were indeed gone. Shueqingxian licked his lips and didn't seem scared at all facing 5 people. He laughed, you guys can attack together. Don't worry, I'll let one of you live. Then he scanned that pretty female immortal. Even an idiot knew what he meant now. Shueqingxian was vengeful and very lustful too. The 5 clearly knew Shueqingxian's character. One abstruse immortal peak stage saluted with his fists and said nothing. He pulled that pretty female immortal and said, let's go. The The female immortal knew that the 5 of them combined were probably no match for Xue Qingxian. It was pointless to stay here, and they didn't dare to collect the stones. Seeing them leave, Xue Qingxian laughed. "You're lucky I'm in a good mood." Then he was about to collect the 3 7 refined stones. "I'm in a good mood too." One sound suddenly stopped Xue Qingxian. Before Xue Qingxian could scan his spirit sense, a figure landed before him. He waved his hand, and the 3 stones fell into his hands. "It's you?" Xue Qingxian saw it was Yi Mo and dazed. He knew this guy, the one from Zhongpiao Heaven that no one wanted to team up with. He was the weakest, an abstruse, immortal middle stage. How did a trash like him come to level 3? Then he realized this guy not only came to level 3 and dared to take 7 refined stones from him. "You're asking to die." Xue Qingxian released his space-shattering lightning spear. Countless silver lightning arcs shot out. It was as though the spear broke into a space filled with lightning arcs. In that instant, the lightning covered the entire space. Before the spar was fully activated, a few more silver spear shadows spilled out, each bringing countless lightning arcs as it crackled the space. There were more and more spear shadows and lightning arcs. Yi Mo approved of this quite a bit. This was a bit like his illusion cloud division strike. From this, it was clear that Xue Qingxian's spirit sense was also powerful. Xue Qingxian was furious indeed. No matter how this insect came here, he dared to challenge his authority. He wasn't going to give this insect a chance to crush the jade card. He was certain he would be able to kill Yi Mo before he could teleport out. But what made him more furious was that Yi Mo didn't use the jade card and instead released a rock magic artifact. Smash! The world rock brought out a dark ray that instantly broke through the endless silver lightning arcs. Xue Qingxian's spear had a sliver of spear domain inside. Ordinary abstruse immortals would indeed be killed before being able to use jade card, but to Yi Mo, this wasn't enough. Xue Qingxian was indeed much stronger than ordinary abstruse immortal tertiary stage, but compared to Yan Jiutian, he was far weaker. In the blink of an eye, the world rock fell. The silver lightning was crushed like paper, spilling everywhere. The world rock just paused for a brief moment and continued falling. Xue Qingxian was overwhelmed. He ran his immortal essence like crazy, trying to maintain his spear force. Crack! The world rock smashed the lightning spear, and Xue Qingxian spat a mouthful of blood flying back out. Mid-air he ate a pill and released a faint red barrier. You weren't smashed to death. Yi Mo murmured in confusion. Yi Mo was planning to kill Xue Qingxian in one go. Yi Mo shook his head. It seemed he needed a god art indeed. If the world rock had its god art, that kid would have been smashed to pulp. Xue Qingxian heard this and spat another mouthful of blood. He dominated the Yuan Le Heaven domain, and even Great Unity Immortal would have to run away when seeing him. Since when did he receive such insult? That guy just used one move and was confused why he didn't die. "I looked wrong. I didn't expect you had such power," Xue Qingxian said coldly. Xue Qingxian's heart was cold. If this wasn't the 7 refined tower, he would be certain Yi Mo was a great immortal, but great immortals can't come in the 7 refined tower. This guy was indeed an abstruse immortal then. Why did no one want to team up with such a powerful abstruse immortal? This was the first time he had seen an abstruse immortal this strong. "Since you didn't die, eat another strike then." Yi Mo knew that it was a bit hard to kill Xue Qingxian in the 7 refined tower. This guy could crush his jade card in time. Xue Qingxian burst his immortal essence, and the red light barrier shone brightly. He released his lightning spear again. He really couldn't accept being beaten by a nameless person. As long as his red barrier could stop that rock, he can counterattack with the lightning spear. Dang! Crack! The red barrier crashed, with the world rock forming a loud bell ring. The red barrier instantly disappeared, and the powerful force struck Xue Qingxian a few hundred meters away. Xue Qingxian spat another mouthful of blood while looking at the world rock in shock. He didn't understand what magic artifact could be this powerful. Yi Mo dazed that Xue Qingxian's magic artifacts were all pretty good. They were hit by the world rock and dine shatter. This meant that not only were Xue Qingshuan's spirit sense and immortal essence powerful, but his magic artifact were indeed very good. Yi Mo dazed that Xue Qingshuan's magic artifacts were all pretty good. They were hit by the world rock and dine shatter. This meant that not only were Xue Qingshuan's spirit sense and immortal essence powerful, but his magic artifact were indeed very good. After a long while, blood-robed immortal Xue Qingxian recovered his senses. He saw the way Yi Mo looked at him and felt very uncomfortable. It had always been him to look at others like this, but someone dared to look at him this way today. But he had to take it. He knew if he kept fighting, he would be no match. He also knew that the reason this guy didn't keep attacking him was not because he let him go, but he knew that he couldn't kill him in the 7 refined tower. Xue Qingxian sneered and took back his defense magic artifact and blinked away. Yi Mo didn't chase him. After Xue Qingxian ran away, his power would be exposed. This wasn't good. Yi Mo knew sooner or later his power would be exposed. He wasn't going to hold back because he needed to get into top 10. Yi Mo wasn't afraid of exposing his power, but his golden page world. When he went into solitary cultivation, he had decided to hide the golden page world in the depth of his sea of consciousness. This way, even an immortal king wouldn't be able to force out his golden page world with spirit sense pressure unless the immortal king shattered his sea of consciousness. Other people wouldn't be able to access the depth of their sea of consciousness, but Yi Mo could, as he had spirit sense cultivation method. Yi Mo didn't believe there would be such insane immortal king. He was only a contestant. No matter what, the immortal king wouldn't have a reason to crush his sea of consciousness. At most, he would suspect he had some fortune and scan his meridians with spirit sense. Yi Mo stayed another day at level 3. When he saw an abstruse immortal tertiary stage being entangled by a vine and instantly sucked dry, he realized that immortal spirit beasts weren't the only danger in here. More and more people were coming to level 3. Yi Mo had decided to go to level 4. He only had 7 points on his jade card. Although he had many 7 refined stones, he only threw some in the jade card. The rest were in the golden page world. He felt these stones were good things, and it would be a pity to use them all for points. Xue Qingxian was very annoyed. He slaughtered countless, and for the first time he had to run away. But he cherished his face and still acted like nothing happened when he met up with his teammates. These 4 were the elite of Yuan La Heaven, and were all very prideful. That's why they teamed up, as they believed with them they could get the top few ranks. Martial brother Qingxian is back so quick? The hawk-eyed abstruse immortal laughed and asked casually. No one could tell Xue Qingxian lost. They just felt Xue Qingshuan's power was a little weak. That abstruse immortal peak stage was pretty close with Xue Qingxian and felt his weak chi was due to playing with that pretty female immortal. Xue Qingxian grunted and said nothing. The few were used to Xue Qingxian being like this. When he didn't want to talk, it was best not to mess with him. Zone Piao heavens, Xue Qingxian said coldly and then suddenly darted out. The other 3 immediately scanned another 6-man squad. They followed over without hesitation. Xue Qingxian saw this team was a Zone Piao Heaven squad, and the captain was the abstruse rank number 2 Purple Rain Goddess. Suji was there too. This was a rather strong team of Zone Piao Heaven. But even the most powerful Zone Piao Heaven squad was not enough to Xue Qingxian. Plus, they just lost a team member. They immediately saw when Xue Qingxian came over. It's blood-robed immortal Xue Qingxian. Purple Rain Goddess sneered and immediately sent a message letting the other 5 form a formation. Give me your storage rings and females, otherwise die. Xue Qingxian said coldly while releasing his lightning spear. Suji and them knew that if someone dared to move, that lightning spear would immediately pierce that person. With Xue Qingshuan's power, he would definitely be able to kill them before they activate the Jade card. Plus, there were 3 people behind Xue Qingxian, and the 4 of them surrounded the 6 of them. Blood-robed immortal, we have no enmity with you. If you just want 7 refined stone, we can give you some. Why be so harsh? Purple Rain Goddess was prideful in Zone Piao Heaven, but here she could only soften up. What do you think you are? What right do you have to bargain with martial brother Qingxian? If you don't do what he says in 3 seconds, you all die. Don't think you have a chance to activate Jade card. Whoever dares to move, I promise he will immediately be dead. That eagle-eyed, abstruse immortal sneered. Su Ji said slowly, blood-robed immortal. I've heard of your name, but isn't this a bit too dominant? Dominant? You can only blame your from Zhongpiao Heaven. I'm going to kill trash from Zhongpiao Heaven today. There was cold rays in Xue Qingshuan's eyes as he shaked his lighting spear about to attack. Your dad also from Zhongpiao Heaven. Another voice sounded, but Xue Qingxian shivered, and that lightning spear immediately weakened. That voice was his nightmare. How could he forget? Indeed, he saw Yi Mo walk up. A day ago he lost all his face to this guy and was almost killed. Yet in a day they met again. The other 3 saw Yi Mo too and released their killing intent, but they didn't attack. They knew blood-robed immortals' rule. If someone dared to steal his prey, he would make that person pray to die. Thud thud. 2 lights flashed, and 2 people in the team teleported out. The other 4 didn't move. There was contempt in Purple Rain Goddess's eyes. It was an insult to be on the same team as these cowards. The remaining 4 all looked at Mo. They frowned. This was the disgusting thing about cultivators ascended from the cultivation realm. They didn't act like immortals at all. Su Ji frowned for a different reason. He knew that Mo was only going to infuriate Xue Qingxian and make him kill him. To him, it was very substantial that Mo could come all the way here alone. Before Xue Qingxian said anything, he immediately said to Moing, "Don't speak. We lost 3 people on the team, you can team up with us." Mo looked at Su Ji in confusion. He didn't expect he had such intention. But Mo just nodded at Su Ji and said, "You guys can go. I can do it alone." Su Ji smiled but deigned answer. If they could go, they would have gone already. Suddenly, he realized something wasn't right. According to Xue Qingshuan's arrogance, how could he not flip when Mo proclaimed himself to be his dad? Xue Qingshuan's teammates also looked at why the blood-robed immortal hasn't flipped yet. However, what shocked them more was that Xue Qingxian instead asked Mo, "Just what do you want?" Su Ji and Purple Rain Goddess were completely dazed. Since when was blood-robed immortal so easy to talk to? Asking the guy who proclaimed to be his dad what he wanted? Martial brother Qingxian. The eagle-eyed abstruse immortal couldn't help asking. Mo wasn't planning to fight since he knew he couldn't kill Xue Qingxian, but now that a team from Zhongpiao Heaven was affected due to this, he felt uncomfortable. Just when he was looking for a reason to fight, this guy on the side spoke, giving him the excuse to flip. "Punk, shut your mouth." The eagle-eyed abstruse immortal raised a brow. A mere abstruse immortal middle stage from Zhongpiao Heaven dared to yell at him. Did he want to die? Before Xue Qingxian said anything, he was about to release his golden mace. Xue Qingxian sneered and waved his hand, signaling the eagle-eyed to stop for now. The eagle-eyed was furious, but he listened to the blood-robed immortal. He knew there must be a reason Xue Qingxian hadn't killed Mo yet. Otherwise, with his personality, Mo would be completely vanished now. Mo felt things were boring that the eagle-eye went back. He was waiting for him to attack and kill this guy first. These guys were Yuan Le Heaven elite. He was by himself. If he didn't have a good reason, it wasn't good to kill a prodigy abstruse immortal of Yuan Le Heaven. Everyone looked at Mo. They all wanted to hear what Mo wanted and know why blood-robed immortal was so nice today. I spent most of my time in here collecting immortal spirit herb. I didn't get a lot of 7 refined stones. You have 4 people here, just give me 10s each. When Mo finished, the remaining people completely dazed. Was Mo an idiot or just insolent? Did he not know it was blood-robed immortal Xue Qingxian he was talking to? Purple Rain Goddess and Su Ji glanced at each other. There was shock and confusion in their eyes. They didn't know where this Moing got his confidence from, daring to scam 7 refined stones from blood-robed immortal. You've insulted me beyond the limit. Fire was spewing out of blood-robed immortal's eyes. His hand shook and the silver color crackled on his spear. Hearing this, how could the eagle-eyed abstruse immortal take it? He couldn't control his golden mace anymore and smashed down at Mo with golden light. The heaven-covering golden light completely enveloped Yemo. The Zhongpiao Heaven Four people's face changed. They immediately retreated in the wake of that fierce golden light. This was just a henchman of blood-robed immortal, and he was this terrifying already. What would happen if blood-robed immortal attacked? Yuanle Heaven was indeed far superior than Zhongpiao Heaven. Any one of them was on par, or even better than Ouyangyi. Yemo didn't wait for Xue Qingxian to attack. He needed to finish the battle fast. If the four attacked him together, it would be a little troublesome. Seeing the golden mace land, Yemo released World Rock before the golden light was fully activated. The World Rock was much faster than that golden mace. The golden mace looked fierce and full of killing intent, but the master of the mace's Sea of Consciousness was surrounded by Yemo's spirit sense blades. The eagle-eyed abstruse immortal sneered, seeing Yemo being enveloped by the killing intent. He didn't understand why Xue Qingxian was so polite to an abstruse immortal middle-stage insect. Why not kill such arrogant fool quickly? But in less than half a second, he was shocked. He felt countless invisible blades attack the border of his Sea of Consciousness, making him lose control of the golden mace. The golden light was rendered useless. Wait, this was a spirit sense attack. Before the eagle eye could react, a terrifying explosion sounded in his Sea of Consciousness. When the World Rock smashed the golden mace, the countless blades hacked into his Sea of Consciousness. The terrifying backlash overturned his Sea of Consciousness before he could react from the chaos. A huge black mountain smashed over. Splurge! The eagle-eyed abstruse immortal was smashed to nothing in just one blow. Meanwhile, Xue Qingxian just released his lightning spear. Seeing the eagle eye getting smashed, he immediately stopped his spear. He knew that if he released the spear, that guy would hunt him until he left the tower. The two abstruse immortals behind Xue Qingxian never intended to attack. Yemo was a mere abstruse immortal middle stage. How could he be a match for the eagle eye? Yet how long had it been, 1 second or 2 seconds? Eagle eye was killed. They all came from mountains of corpse. With how Yemo killed Eagle Eye dominantly in one move, the two immediately realized why Xue Qingxian was so concerned with Yemo and didn't attack. The blood-robed immortal was no match for Yemo at all. Where did this maniac come from? He was this terrifying. Realizing this, the two immediately came to the blood-robed immortal's side. Their magic artifact was releasing light. Clearly they were ready to fight Yemo. Purple Rain Goddess, Suji, and them were completely dumbfounded. Only now did they realize how absurd this Mo Ing was. He killed Xue Qingxian's teammate, but the blood-robed immortal didn't even dare to say anything. He was too powerful. Suji sighed, and he thought this Mo Ing got top 50 by cheating. Purple Rain Goddess and the other two Zhongpiao Heaven Abstruse Immortal looked at Yemo in shock. Only now did they realize how ridiculous it was to look down on this person. With such power, even Ouyangyi would be killed. So the abstruse ranking wasn't reliable too. That was the only thought Purple Rain Goddess had. To be honest, she didn't consider any abstruse immortal of Zhongpiao Heaven highly. Even Ouyangyi was so-so to her. But now, she realized how ridiculous her sense of superiority was. Yemo put the storage ring he got into his storage ring, and then looked coldly at blood-robed immortal, but said nothing. The blood-robed immortal gritted his teeth and took out a few 7 refined stones to Yemo. Those I haven't put into the jade card are all here. Yemo looked at the stones. They were all 3 and 4 colored. He threw them into his jade card, and his points rose to 24 immediately. The two next to Xue Qingxian took out a few stones and threw it to Yemo without hesitation. With all this, Yemo's points rose to 61. Seeing Yemo's shameless act, they were furious, but didn't dare to talk. Is that fine now? Blood-robed immortal said word by word. If he could beat Yemo, he would have ate Yemo piece by piece already. I said 10s, you only gave a few. Do you think I'm an idiot like you? Yemo said contemptuously. The world rock floated in the air again, and that terrifying pressure fell. They had seen the power of the world rock and became nervous, clutching their jade slips in their hands tightly. Blood-robed immortal almost spat blood out of fury. Yemo didn't say it wasn't enough when he took it. Now that he took it, he said it wasn't enough. He might as well just crush his jade card. We have no enmity. Don't you think you're a bit too domineering? Blood-robed immortal just said this, and felt it was quite familiar. Purple Rain Goddess and Suji were speechless. This was too satisfying. Then piss off, Yemo said. He knew he couldn't kill them, and they probably only had this much 7 refined stones. Wait, I meant to piss out of 7 refined tower, not somewhere else. Yemo said coldly. Who knows if this guy will keep looking for trouble with Zhong Piao Heaven people. You, blood-robed immortal almost spat blood again, out of anger. He took out the stones so he could stay here, not to be kicked out. Yemo sneered, if you don't go, you can try my waiting stone. If I can't smash you out of the tower, I will go out myself. Very well, I, blood-robed immortal Xueqing Xian, will remember you. I hope you're always lucky like this. Xueqing Xian took out his jade card and crushed it. The other two saw this and could only crush their jade cards too. In the blink of an eye, there was just Yemo and 4 completely dumbfounded Zhong Piao Heaven abstruse immortals. Yemo scanned Purple Rain Goddess and them but said nothing. He turned away and disappeared. Yemo scanned Purple Rain Goddess and them but said nothing. He turned away and disappeared. Just who is he? One Zhong Piao Heaven abstruse immortal asked in shock. Everyone looked at Suji because he said to invite Emoing. Perhaps he knew him. Suji shook his head, seeing everyone look at him. I only know he's called Emoing. His contribution points only rose up a month before the Blue Lightning Immortal Well opened. I don't know anything else. Since when did such a powerful abstruse immortal appear in Zhong Piao Heaven? Not even blood-robed immortal Xueqing Xian is a match for him. With his power, he should be fine getting top 3 in the Yuan Lo Heaven immortal rank. That abstruse immortal said in shock again. This is no small matter. We need to report to the 3 immortal king masters as soon as we go out. Suji said. Purple Rain Goddess nodded, indeed. Emoing came out of nowhere. No one looked favorably of him before, but he's this terrifying. Were the frogs at the bottom of the well? They could tell that this very prideful goddess also faced reality now. Not only were there many people stronger than her in Yuan Lo Heaven, but even Emoing was far from what she could be. But that Emoing has no ill will. He helped us. I think he kicked Xueqing Xian out of the tower, so he can't keep harming us Zhong Piao Heaven people. If I didn't guess wrong, the blood-robed immortal suffered in his hands once, and that's why he brought his anger on us. Emoing is a rather upright person and knew he caused this, so he kicked blood-robed immortal out. Suji said. Everyone agreed. Purple Rain Goddess sighed. I wanted to work hard and find 7 refined stones and make the 3 immortal king masters have no regret. But now, it seems the 3 immortal king masters won't be regretting. With Emoying's power, he can definitely get into top 10. Purple Rain Martial Sister, would Martial Brother Emoing be the strongest in the 7 refined tower? Someone asked. Purple Rain Goddess shook her heads. Probably not. The blood-robed immortal is infamous, but that's because he's too murderous. He's only ranked 9th on the Yuan Lo Heaven immortal rank. I think Emoing would be able to rank into top 5, but it would be a bit hard to get first. Suji continued, with Emoing in here, it's our opportunity. We should go find 7 refined stones and go to level 4 before the place closes. Everyone agreed to this, and the 4 quickly left, continuing the search for 7 refined stones. When Yemo came to the 4th level, he remembered that his map stopped at level 4. There was no entrance for level 5. Yemo looked at the map he got from the eagle-eyed abstruse immortal. His map also stopped at level 4. It seemed he needed to find level 5 himself. There were level 5 Immortal Spirit Beast at level 4. At level 5 there would be level 6 Immortal Spirit Beast. At level 7 there would be level 7 Immortal Spirit Beast. Level 7 Immortal Spirit Beast were theoretically equivalent to Immortal Kings. Although the Immortal Spirit Beast here were weaker than Immortal King, but they definitely weren't something he could deal with. At level 4, if he wanted to stay, he would have to stealth himself. As soon as EMO thought of this, a dominating force swept over. Level 5 Fire Chimera Beast. Its skin and hair were good forgery materials, but EMO knew he was weaker than this level 5 chimera. Even if he could kill it, he would be heavily injured. EMO immediately stealthed when the chimera came over. The 3-birth chance stealth capabilities were shocking. The chimera came for EMO, but when he got to where EMO was, the target he was looking for was gone, and he began to roar. At this moment, a few more dashing lights lit up. EMO knew more people came to level 4. With this, the chimera roared and charged over. Before the 4 could react, the chimera spewed a fire mountain. One of them was instantly enveloped by the fire mountain. The other 3 ran away in 3 different directions. The first to run just flew up and was tied by a vine that sprung up. Then, this abstruse immortal fell into the thorn brush and disappeared. The 2 other abstruse immortal were scared soulless. They immediately crushed their jade card and disappeared from level 4. In just a few seconds, 2 abstruse immortal tertiary stage were killed without resistance, and the other 2 got away. EMO didn't dare to act like he was in level 3 and flew around on Blue Moon everywhere. He carefully shifted himself while stealthed. He would avoid places with lots of vegetation. On the way, he encountered many devouring vines and level 4 immortal spirit beast, but he avoided them all. Instead, he found large amounts of level 4 immortal spirit herb, and they were all very aged. EMO rejoiced on his decision to come here. Half a month later, EMO collected a few hundred level 4 and level 5 immortal spirit herb and large amounts of 7 refined stones. There were more stones at level 4 probably due to long time with no people coming here. Some of them weren't even guarded by immortal spirit beast. He killed a few level 4 immortal spirit beast, but he would immediately go if he saw level 5 immortal spirit beast. Luckily, there were little level 5 immortal spirit beast at level 4. EMO only encountered 2 in half a month. After going through just under half the area of level 4, EMO found the entrance to level 5 and went in without hesitation. There were so many good things at level 4, level 5 was undoubtedly more wealthy. EMO guessed right, level 5 was like an immortal spirit herb silo. There were all sorts of aged immortal spirit herb, and the stones were at least 5 colored. In 5 days, EMO got 10s more level 5 immortal spirit herb and a few 5-colored stones. There were large amounts of level 5 immortal spirit beast and bugs at level 5, but none of them were able to find him. At this moment, EMO felt he was walking on the edge of a blade. Another 7 refined stone appeared before him. EMO scanned his spirit sense out. Moments later, he was certain there was no danger. A level 5 dual horn tiger was sleeping. This wasn't the first time he stole stones like this. As long as he got to the stone before the guarding immortal spirit beast woke up and grabbed it, he would be fine. When EMO was tens of meters away, he suddenly felt things weren't right. Before he could react, an insignificant flower had expanded and eaten him. Immortal devouring flower, EMO realized immediately. This flower can instantly turn what they devour into nothing. Someone else would probably go into the golden page world immediately, but EMO knew that it would be extremely hard to get out if he went in the golden page world. Level 5 immortal devouring flower and its consciousness already. It wasn't good to expose the golden page world. EMO immediately released Heaven Flame 9 suns. 4 purple suns circulated around his body, turning him into a huge fireball. EMO felt that his Heaven Flame seemed to be joyful, as though it found something good. The flower let out a sharp howl and instantly withered. EMO dashed out immediately and ran away. A few hundred km later, EMO stopped. He rejoiced, not expecting his Heaven Flame to be this powerful, being able to burn level 5 immortal devouring flower. This place was too dangerous. EMO then started throwing some 7 refined stones into the jade card. It would be bad if he encountered danger and wasn't able to turn the stones into points. As time went on, more and more people were teleported out of the square. The rankings changed rapidly too. As time went on, more and more people were teleported out of the square. The rankings changed rapidly too. But what people didn't expect was blood-robed immortal Xue Qingxian being teleported to the square. He wasn't the most powerful abstruse immortal in Yuan Le Heaven, but he was definitely the most ferocious one. Yet, such a person was teleported. Blood-robed immortal had a strange temper, and his face was bleak. No one dared to ask what happened. As for the two who teamed up with him, they didn't dare to say anything before blood-robed immortal spoke. Two Zong Piao Heaven abstruse immortal who were forced by him to crush their jade cards saw blood-robed immortal come out and quickly hid on the side. They didn't know why blood-robed immortal came out, but they didn't dare to say anything. In the VIP room of the square, a few Yuan Le Heaven immortal kings saw Xue Qingxian being teleported out. They didn't have a good face too. To them, the more people they had staying in the tower, the more spots they had going into the Dao-seeking tower. But all the immortal kings were together now, and they couldn't really go out and ask. That 79th team is interesting. They were always second last, and suddenly rose to 36th a month ago. Later on it rose to 17th. Now it just rose to 146 points, it's 7th. One gray-robed immortal king laughed. I noticed it too. This team has a strange way of getting points. It seems to wait many days before adding points again. Each time it adds much more points than other teams. This way, this 79th team might really get first. Another immortal king added. I thought it was Yuan Le Heaven Xue Qingxian, but now it doesn't seem so. Which heaven domain is this squad from? That immortal king said, and didn't look at the bad faces of Yuan Le Heaven immortal kings. Everyone knew what he meant, Xue Qingxian like slaughter. That way, he would get the 7 refined stones of others when he killed them and get a lot of points. The immortal kings of weaker heaven domains said nothing. They knew this team definitely wasn't from them. They didn't care about being first, they just wanted a spot in the top 10. That 0 points team still didn't get a single point, and nor was anyone teleported out. I think they all died. One Tang, Yao Heaven Immortal King mentioned 41's squad. He kept feeling that this squad was related to him. It was very strange indeed. Level 1 of the tower had no threat for an abstruse immortal. How could they not get a single point? Yimo left some 7 refined stones and sent the rest all into the jade card. No matter what, he would get a top 10 spot. He didn't know how many points were needed to get into top 10, he was by himself after all. So, he sent in all the stones he could except for some. Yimo didn't wander around freely after being devoured by the immortal devouring flower. That was level 5. What if it was a level 6 or a level 7? He might not even be alive. After calming down, Yimo remembered that after releasing Heaven Flame 9 Suns, his Heaven Flame sent an emotion of excitement. Was there something near there that could help Heaven Flame evolve? Or was there a material for Mist Lotus Heartfire to Nirvana? Thinking about this, Yimo's heart grew excited. He even wanted to run back there and check, but he didn't lose his mind. The fight with the flower definitely woke up that dual horn tiger. Going over there again was suicide. He didn't dare to fight the tiger at all. Even if they were evenly matched, who knows if suddenly a vine would pop out from below him and drag him away. Yimo thought carefully. When he released Heaven Flame, there was nothing but immortal devouring flowers. If there must be something, it would be 7 refined stone? Yimo was shook. He was almost certain it was 7 refined stone. When he got the first 7 refined stone, he felt there was a fire element inside. Thinking about this, Yimo grew excited. He immediately set up a stealth formation and went into the golden page world. Yimo immediately released Mist Lotus Heartfire and took out a 5-colored stone. As soon as he did, Mist Lotus Heartfire jumped in excitement. Yimo carefully sent the stone to Mist Lotus Heartfire. Before Yimo could react, the Mist Lotus Heartfire swept the 7 refined stone away. Immediately, the Mist Lotus Heartfire jumped around and its temperature rose again. The flame's color kept changing too. What is this? Yimo dazed for a moment and immediately grew excited. He could tell that Mist Lotus Heartfire was undergoing nirvana. He had never been able to find something for Heaven Flame Nirvana, but now the 7 refined stone was it. A 5-color one could allow Mist Lotus Heartfire to Nirvana, then what about 6, and even 7-colored ones? In his joy, Yemo kept throwing 5-color stones into the rolling purple Heaven Flame. Yemo didn't know how many stones were needed for Mist Lotus Heartfire to succeed. After he threw all of his stones in, he realized he didn't have that many. He began to worry. What if Nirvana failed? Seeing the rolling flames, Yemo stopped throwing in 7 refined stones. He only had lower than 5-colored ones now. If Nirvana failed, he could only use blue like morning sky. Because of Qin Nianmei's ore, his blue like morning sky is purple now, but it was a very faint purple. Yemo didn't plan to use ordinary materials to Nirvana blue like morning sky. He didn't get this flame easy, it's very rare, and one has to get the flame's recognition to own it. Yemo decided that if he couldn't find Astral Flame Marrow, he wouldn't Nirvana blue like morning sky. He would either not have it or have the best. A day later, the Mist Lotus Heartfire calmed down and turned into a purple flame floating in his hand. Yemo looked at the surroundings of this flame in shock. There was a faint golden ring around it. The second golden ring was also visible sometimes. Mist Lotus Heartfire not only succeeded, but was also about to reach Purple Nirvana Level 2. This 7 refined stone gave Yemo too much surprise. Feeling Mist Lotus Heartfire that was many times stronger than before, Yemo couldn't help exclaiming. It was too powerful. After looking at the flame for a long while, Yemo put it away. He finally understood what the 7 refined stones were for. No wonder the tournament was to gather 7 refined stones. With this thing being this powerful, Yemo wasn't going to keep sending it into his jade card. No matter how dangerous it wasn't going to stop Yemo from seeking 7 refined stones. He was already imagining his heaven flame reaching purple nirvana level 4 and evolving to an immortal flame. Yemo didn't keep wasting time in the golden page world. His main purpose wasn't immortal spirit herb anymore, but 7 refined stones. In the next 2 weeks, Yemo gathered 7 refined stones at level 5 like crazy. Sometimes, even if there wasn't a sleeping level 5 immortal spirit beast, he would go steal it. He was injured a few times and almost eaten a few times. Luckily, his powerful 5-element mobility and stealth cultivation method saved his life again and again. When Yemo found the entrance to level 6, he already had 32 5-colored stones. Yemo was very careful. Even though he was at the entrance to level 6, he stealthed himself carefully. Those who could come in level 5 weren't necessarily strong. Even the strongest abstruse immortal wouldn't be able to dominate level 5. Yemo was very careful. Even though he was at the entrance to level 6, he stealthed himself carefully. Those who could come in level 5 weren't necessarily strong. Even the strongest abstruse immortal wouldn't be able to dominate level 5. Those who could come in were very good at stealth just like him. His stealth cultivation method wasn't something ordinary people could have. Yemo didn't really believe there would be other people here except for him. But when he saw a black figure dashing past at the entrance to level 6, he realized he had underestimated people. That black figure was definitely an abstruse immortal, and his speed seemed faster than his. Yemo didn't move and just stared at that person, wanting to know who it was. That abstruse immortal's stealth cultivation method is very good as well. Even Yemo could only faintly see a figure. 10 seconds later, after a level 5 iron footbear passed, that figure showed itself. Yemo thought it would be someone from a big heaven domain, but when he saw who that person was, he realized it was an abstruse immortal from Zhongpiao Heaven. Yemo only knew his name, seemed to be Meng Yong. Yemo remembered this guy because his moves were clean when he challenged. He could actually come to level 5 alone. It was clear that he either left his team behind, or he was the only one left. On top of that, Meng Yong had a red mark on his forehead. Meng Yong didn't see Yemo. He waited for the bear to pass, and immediately dug out the 2 stone essence fruit nearby, and changed a direction before leaving. He didn't go to level 6 entrance. Yemo didn't call Meng Yong. He had his own business. After reaching level 6 of the tower, Yi Mo immediately stealthed himself. He knew that most of the immortal spirit beast here were level 6 immortal spirit beast. He didn't have any chances of victory against them. Yi Mo's carefulness was useful. As soon as he hid, tens of thousands of level 5 gold-sucking ants flew by. With ants of such level, it would be useless even if he used Heaven Flame 9 Suns and all of his immortal essence. After the ants flew past, Yi Mo finally felt the dense immortal spirit chi of level 6. He was certain that if he took out Time Formation Disc to cultivate now, it would be on par with the immortal well. However, Yi Mo didn't have the time to do so, nor did he dare to. Level 6 immortal spirit herb were higher level and more precious. Yi Mo even found more than 10 three-leafed Jelon. He moved them all to his golden page world without hesitation. In the Qing Mo city, 2 great extreme immortal fought over just one, and now he got more than 10. Other than this, he got more of Su Ling, 7 heart mushrooms. Su Ling was just a level 5 immortal spirit herb, but it was the best ingredient to concoct Extreme Dusk Pill. Extreme Dusk Pill could increase the chances of breaking into Great Extreme Immortal. So, it was worth more than ordinary level 6 immortal spirit herb. This was Yi Mo sneaking around. He was certain if he walked around openly he would get much more. Yi Mo was more careful at level 6. He didn't even dare to make any big movements digging immortal spirit herb, nor did he scan his spirit sense around. However, he felt that level 6 was much smaller than the previous levels. Because Yi Mo moved slower, he was safer than he was at level 5 except for when he stole 7 refined stones. A few days later, Yi Mo found 7 6-colored stones and saw the entrance to level 7. From the bottom of his heart, Yi Mo didn't want to go to level 7. If he had some chance at level 6, he had 0 chance at level 7. But Yi Mo knew that he wouldn't be able to stay at level 6 for long, as 3 months' time was about to be up. Moments later, Yi Mo took out his jade card and held it in his hand while going into the teleportation ray to level 7. He would immediately crush it if there was danger at level 7. As soon as Yi Mo came to level 7, he saw 3 7 refined stones. They were all 7-colored. In his joy, Yi Mo dashed out and took them while scanning his spirit sense out. The first thing he saw was a purple fruit. The fruit has been there for countless years, but there was slivers of Tao radiance. Yi Mo's heart shivered. Pengyu immortal fruit? This was definitely it. It was said that Zhun Bingyu's sect was annihilated for one. Even Yi Mo couldn't control his excitement anymore. With this fruit, it meant he would be able to reach Immortal King for certain. He had to get this. Just when Yi Mo wanted to dash over, a terrifying pressure came, and then there was a roar. Immediately, Yi Mo had a sense of despair. He didn't dare to think about the Pengyu immortal fruit anymore. He crushed his jade card without hesitation. Rumble. The instant Yi Mo teleported away, Yi Mo saw his after image being crushed by a claw that was a few stories big. Yi Mo was certain that if that claw landed on him, there wouldn't be any pieces of him left. This was the power of level 7 immortal spirit beast. That terrifying force, pressure, and speed. He wouldn't even have time to go into the golden page world. Yi Mo wasn't disappointed not getting the Pengyu immortal fruit. At least he got 3 7-colored stones. Yi Mo knew he got no points for going into level 7 as he didn't stay there till the end. However, this wasn't the greatest pity. He didn't get anything good from level 7. If he stayed there for just a day, no half a day, he would be rich. At level 4, a blue-dressed female immortal was standing on a huge blue rock. 4 other abstruse immortals surrounded the stone. This female immortal was Yuan La Heaven Xianlen Goddess, ranked 3rd on the Heaven Immortal ranking. No one was superior than her in use of god art. Xian Goddess, do we not need to search for 7 refined stones anymore? One square-faced abstruse immortal asked. Su Qian, we just need to do as she tells us. She wouldn't be mistaken. Another teammate said. Xianlen Goddess smiled. That extreme beauty was amplified in her smile. She didn't move at all, but her immortal temperament made people feel she was flying and dancing. There's 5 minutes until the trial ends. We will be teleported to the square. It's pointless to keep searching for stones now. We were lucky. We found a large bunch of 4-colored 7 refined stones. It should be fine getting top 3. If lucky, we might even get first. Xianlen Goddess's voice was like a dripping clear well, making people immersed in her voice. Seeing no one talk as they were all enchanted by her, Xianlen Goddess didn't mind. She had seen this all too frequent. She was thinking, this time she could finally crush Sun Ran Goddess under her feet. She had always been on par with Sun Ran Goddess. Although she was ranked 3rd, but everyone knew that Sun Ran, who was ranked 4th, was on par with her. The instant Emo came to the square, rays of dashing lights were teleported out too. Emo knew his luck was too bad. As soon as he crushed the jade card, the trial time was over. If only that level 7 immortal spirit beast found him later, and he got the Prungyu immortal fruit, things would be perfect. If he was teleported out at the end, he would get 160 more points. But now that was gone. Emo desperately took out the jade card, wanting to know how many points he had. He crushed the outer layer, but the inner layer was still there. Looking at the 356 points on the jade card, Emo dazed. This point wasn't right. If he passed level 7, it should be 436, if not then 276. Why would it be 356? Was there half points? Looking at the 356 points on the jade card, Emo dazed. This point wasn't right. If he passed level 7, it should be 436, if not then 276. Why would it be 356? Was there half points? Emo instantly cast this thought aside and remembered he should be looking at the screen in the square. He wanted to see if he got into top 10. What was this? The screen displaying the leaderboard was gone. The first round of the tournament is finished. Let's see which heaven domains the top 10 comes from, which prodigy teams got them. As the voice sounded, tens of Immortal King landed on the main altar of the square again. It was he, Immortal King, speaking. Emo immediately realized that the screen showed the ranking before to attract everyone's attention to the progress of the round. They covered it up now to entice the contestants about their own ranking. Otherwise, everyone only needed to look at the screen, and no one would pay attention to the Immortal King talking. As soon as he said this, the square fell quiet. Good method. This was much better than telling everyone to be quiet. He didn't speak and looked at the screen. Moments later, the bottom showed a row of words. 11th team got 10th place with 239 points. Yuan Le Heaven Domain. Team leader Fu Lintian. Team member Li Long, Gan Qing, Hua Luanin. With this, the square erupted. 239 points was only 10th. Those squads who got less than 239 points immediately knew they were disqualified. Teams with more than 239 points knew they reached top 10. Emo breathed easy. Even if he got no points for level 7, he would be in top 10. He got what he wanted. It seemed that with his 356 points, he might possibly reach top 3. Emo just didn't want to be first, as that would catch too much attention. Heaven's Sword Immortal Fu Lintian's squad is only 10th. It seems the caliber of this time is very high. Someone said. Before, Yuan Le Heaven always gets 5 to 6 in the top 10. I wonder how many they can get this time. Fu Lintian is only ranked 7th on the Heaven Immortal ranking. It seems it won't be hard for Yuan Le Heaven to get 5 or 6 spots again. Not necessarily. Finding 7 refined stones also require luck. It's not completely power. If you're unlucky and can't find stones, it's pointless no matter how strong you are. Emo agreed to this perspective. Power was important because without power you wouldn't be able to get far. But luck was also important. Power is meaningless if you can't find stones. Immortal King paused before repeating what he said again. His voice didn't seem as happy as before. Clearly he felt Fu Lintian's squad's points were too low. The screen showed the 9th, 63rd team reached 9th with 244 points. Jiangyu Heaven Domain, team leader Wu Wanlin, team member Xie Yutong, Gong Sunji. 6th team reached 8th with 257 points. Jiangyu Heaven Domain. Team leader Mu Sha. He named 2 Jiangyu Heaven Domain names. There was a sliver of helplessness in his tone. The square went into an upbeat again. Some immortal kings begun discussions too. Many immortal kings congratulated Jiangyu Heaven Domain immortal kings. In all the past tournaments, rarely does another Heaven Domain get 2 spots other than Yuan Le Heaven. The 3 immortal kings of Jiangyu Heaven Domain couldn't stop smiling. They just got 9th and 8th but this 2 Dao-seeking tower spots. This meant that Jiangyu Heaven Domain might have 2 more immortal kings. He was regretful, but he still congratulated the immortal kings. 19th team reached 7th with 262 points, Xiang Meng Heaven Domain. Team leader Liao Lingxian. 98th team reached 6th with 271 points, Wenchong Heaven Domain. Team leader Tai Zhongfei. These 3 heaven domains were all congratulated. Those heaven domains who haven't appeared yet began to worry. The only one who didn't worry was Zhongpiao Heaven, Duanqing Heaven, and Jiyao Heaven. These 3 heaven domains rarely got into top 10. Between 10th to 6th, they still had some hopes, but for 5th to 1st, they didn't need to have any hopes. It's usually always taken by Yuan Le Heaven, Huangjia Heaven, Kongsheng Heaven. 66th team reached 5th with 284 points, Yuan Le Heaven. Team leader Xian Len. 45th team reached 4th with 287 points, Kongsheng Heaven Domain. Team leader Len Qingshan. He immortal king's face looked worse and worse. Up until now, Yuan Le Heaven only showed 2 teams. Usually there would be 3 to 4 now. Xian Len Goddess' face was worse. She thought her team would at least be top 3, or even 1st, but they only 5th. She couldn't comprehend this, and even felt embarrassed. 85th team reached 3rd with 289 points, Huangjia Heaven Domain. Team leader Qing Warren. With this, the immortal kings from Huangjia Heaven Domain finally breathed easy. Luckily, Qin Warren didn't disappoint them and reached top 3. A chiseled and cold-faced abstruse immortal in blue shirt saw that 3rd was only 2 more points than his team and sneered. He shot out a sharp glance at Qin Warren. 32 RD team reached 2nd with 297 points, Yuan Le Heaven. Team leader Guan Feijian. He finally breathed easy after reading out this name. At least there were 3 Yuan Le Heaven teams now, without a doubt. First would also be Yuan Le Heaven team. Yi Mo rubbed his nose. If he knew that 356 was far beyond 2nd, he would definitely not throw that many stones in at level 5. He just wanted a top 10, but now he accidentally got 1st. This was too much of a joke. Were those teams sleeping in the tower? And that Meng Yong, he reached level 5 too. Yi Mo didn't know if he went into level 6, but he was certain Meng Yong didn't hand up the stones he got. In fact, the main way of getting points in the tower is 7 refined stones. But the stones were limited. If you want to beat others by a lot, you had to reach higher levels. The higher you go, the more terrifying the points are. When Yi Mo passed level 6, it already meant that he would certainly be in top 10. Yi Mo was annoyed he got 1st. If there was one person who didn't want 1st in the square, it was him, but he got it. Purple Rain Goddess and Su Ji and them looked at Yi Mo in confusion. They didn't believe Yi Mo was 1st. They thought Yi Mo should be able to get top 10, but up till now, his name still wasn't called out. If they knew this, they should have discussed with Yi Mo to sell the stones he got to them. That way, they would have 240 or so points and get a top 10. Xian Len Goddess frowned. Sun Ran Goddess's name still haven't been called out. Was she 1st? How is that possible? The 1st should be 300 or so points. In the square, a white-robed abstruse immortal saw the 2nd, and a fierce killing intent rose up from his body. The nearby abstruse immortals all moved away. The number 1 of Yuan Le Heaven immortal rank, he is titled the white-robed immortal Guan Feijian. He got 2nd the 1st round. Even blood-robed immortal would have to look down and move aside in front of Guan Feijian. He showed killing intent clearly because he didn't get 1st. Finally, the 1st team was shown. 79th team reached 1st with 356 points, Zhongpiao Heaven. Team leader Moing, team member Moing. He even forgot to repeat it this time, as he just kept staring at this in disbelief. How is this possible? Rumble. The square fell silent for a few moments and burst out. The first was that one-man team, Mo-ing, who was the weakest. Just who was this Mo-ing? He got first and beat second by 56 points. This is insane. Who is Mo-ing? Mo-ing is who? Which heaven domain? Zong Piao heaven? This. Actually, those people who asked about Mo-ing realized that they all knew this Mo-ing. It was that abstruse, immortal middle stage whom no one wanted to team up with and had to go in alone. Actually, those people who asked about Mo-ing realized that they all knew this Mo-ing. It was that abstruse, immortal middle stage whom no one wanted to team up with and had to go in alone. Zong Piao heaven first? Even the other immortal kings were dazed much, less the Zong Piao heaven immortal kings. Was something wrong? How could Zong Piao heaven be first and that one-man team Mo-ing? The next moment, everyone looked at Emo. Even the tens of immortal kings looked at Emo. They knew that the leaderboard couldn't be wrong. This meant that Zong Piao heaven was indeed first. An abstruse immortal middle stage got more than 300 points and reached first alone in the 7 refined tower. This was too unbelievable. Congratulations, Kai Feng, immortal king. Congratulations, Ping Zhou, immortal king. The 3 immortal kings from Zong Piao heaven was still dazed, and all sorts of congratulations sounded. That was first, there was an immortal king spot to go into the Dao-seeking tower. Which immortal king here didn't envy that? The 3 Zong Piao heaven immortal kings were still dazed. Ping Zhou, immortal king, said this. How is this possible? Kai Feng, immortal king, reacted and laughed while thanking and saluted with his fists. He was completely shocked too. He didn't understand how Emo could get first. Where did this guy come from? Why did he act so timid before? He definitely wouldn't believe an abstruse immortal this powerful is that timid. The only explanation is that it was all an act. Haha, Zong Piao heaven is really shocking. This way is good. Using one-man team to get the highest points. It seems we need to use this way too. Hee, a sour voice sounded. Everyone knew what he meant. Zong Piao heaven had communication beads, and all the other teams gave their stones to Mo-ing's team. Mo-ing got large amounts of 7 refined stones and stacked his points up. Mo-ju, immortal king, if you really do this, then next time your Wenchong heaven won't even get 1 spot. One immortal king sneered. If other people can do that, why can't I? Mo-ju, immortal king, was rash. He just reached immortal king, and this was his first time taking people here. With many immortal kings on the side sneering, too contemptuous to talk to him, he was even more annoyed. Another Wenchong heaven immortal king pulled him quickly. After forming teams, the teams would be recorded by formation. In the tower, the stones would belong to the first to collect the stone. Placing stones of the same heaven domain teams together was useless and just be a waste. Mo-ju, immortal king, immediately realized. You can only get stones from teams of different heaven domains. Clearly, this stamps out cheating. Mo-ju's face blushed. He really didn't know such rule here. His face was slapped in front of all these immortal kings, making him feel really awkward and disliked that Mo-ing as well. Kai Feng, immortal king, ignored Mo-ju. He knew that this immortal king just broke through and probably knew less than those contestants. He was overjoyed now. Zong Piao heaven team got first. That meant there was an extra status immortal and great immortal spot into the Dao-seeking tower. Su Huan and Ping Zhou, immortal king, woke up too. This was real. The 3 looked at each other and couldn't control the excitement in their eyes. Su Huan forgot about her regret of taking Mo here. She couldn't even stop smiling now. Congratulations, Zong Piao heaven. You're the black horse indeed. He, immortal king, calmed down now and scanned Mo with his spirit sense. The Zong Piao heaven immortal kings thanked everyone and wanted to pull Mo over immediately to ask about the process. When he, immortal king, scanned his spirit sense over, Mo felt his body go cold. That spirit sense stayed for a short time and left. This made him loosen up. He hid his power to be abstruse immortal middle stage to test if immortal king can see through it. If immortal king can, then it meant that he might expose his golden page world if an immortal king suppressed him with spirit sense. If Immortal King can't see his hidden power, it meant he was safe. He got first. This can be some contribution to Zhong Piao Heaven. After all, he took most of the blue lightning immortal well and used Zhong Piao Heaven to earn some fortune. As for round 2, he didn't need to work hard. With one spot, it was pointless to work hard. All the abstruse immortals from Zhong Piao Heaven looked at Emo in disbelief. Other Heaven Domain people didn't know this guy, but they did. The question he asked Immortal King was ridiculous, and after he was laughed at, he hid in his room alone. Yet someone like this could get first. This was unbelievable. The only people who didn't doubt Emo was Suji and Purple Rain Goddess. They saw Emo's power. Even blood-robed immortal didn't dare to say much to him. It wasn't impossible for someone like this to get first. They really wanted to ask what level Emo reached. Not just them. All the Immortal Kings wanted to know what level Emo reached. Did he get 6-colored 7 refined stone? That was worth a fortune. Every time the tower opened, the most precious thing was 7 refined stone. Usually the highest colors that come out are 5-colored. 6-colored were almost never seen. Martial brother Ouyang, this guy is too lucky. He got first alone. Did he find a few hundred 1-colored stones at level 1? One abstruse immortal wearing gray headband frowned at Emo, and a long-haired abstruse immortal on the side said sourly. Then he added, idiots have dumb luck. Purple Rain Goddess and Martial brother Ouyang can take care of someone like him with one slap, but he's this lucky. Shut up. Brother Mo's power far exceeds me. Don't drag me into this. Purple Rain Goddess yelled in fury. Ouyang glanced at Purple Rain Goddess in a daze before saying in confusion, Purple Rain Goddess. Wangbo talks a bit much, but he's straightforward. Ouyang clearly meant that Emo was indeed weaker than them. Purple Rain Goddess scornfully looked at Ouyang and said, Martial brother Ouyang can match brother Emo. I'm ashamed I'm not as good as you. Then she left. Suji and 2 other people were standing with Ouyang, but hearing this they frowned and stood a little far. Chu Xiongzi realized something was up and quickly went up to Suji and inquired. Your Zhong Piao Heaven Moing? I Guan Feijian will remember you. I believe we will meet again. I didn't expect a mere Zhong Piao Heaven would have someone like you. A white-robed abstruse immortal peak stage walked up to Emo saying with a cold tone. He looked pridefully at Emo as killing intent seeped out of his body. Some weaker abstruse immortal moved away immediately. Your Zhong Piao Heaven Moing? I, Guan Feijian, will remember you. I believe we will meet again. I didn't expect a mere Zhong Piao Heaven would have someone like you. A white-robed abstruse immortal peak stage walked up to Emo saying with a cold tone. He looked pridefully at Emo as killing intent seeped out of his body. Some weaker abstruse immortal moved away immediately. Emo frowned. He knew Immortal King drew enmity to him, but he wasn't scared.
How did he offend this guy?
Emo didn't know that Guan Feijian was unhappy he lost. He felt he lost not because he was weaker than Emo, but he shouldn't have teamed up. If he didn't, he would get higher points. I'm from Zhong Piao Heaven too. Why can't Zhong Piao Heaven get first?
Suji got up and said,
Who do you think you are? What right do you have to talk to me? Guan Feijian's force suddenly rose and a terrifying killing intent smashed at Suji. Suji knew his power clearly. He was ranked 9th on the Zhong Piao Heaven abstruse ranking, but he believed he could even beat Ouyang. But facing Guan Feijian's terrifying killing intent, he actually shivered and almost couldn't resist pulling out his long sword. Emo suddenly sneered, and his force rose. Zhong Piao Heaven's fierce killing intent was instantly swept back. Guan Feijian's face changed, but he didn't retreat. Before Guan Feijian said anything, Emo said, Who do you think you are? What right do you have to stand before me? Guan Feijian's face went cold but unexpectedly. He didn't attack. Instead, he said coldly, Okay, you have balls. Then Guan Feijian turned to leave. Emo knew that this guy wasn't scared of him, but they couldn't fight in the square. I'm Suji. Thanks for helping twice, Brother Emo. I didn't even get a chance to thank you for last time. Suji was very grateful seeing that Yi Mo helped send Guan Feijian away. He knew that if Yi Mo didn't intervene, he wouldn't be able to stop pulling out his sword. If he did that at 7 Refined Tower Square, Zhongpiao Heaven would lose face. You're welcome. We're all from Zhongpiao Heaven, we should help each other. Yi Mo saluted with his fists and smiled. This Suji was good. He looked favorably of him. The other was Mang Yong. Yi Mo was certain Mang Yong was stronger than blood-robed immortal. Mang Yong wouldn't be hiding his strength anymore in the second round. He, Immortal King, felt many unfriendly spirit sense scan towards Yi Mo, and Guan Feijian even went up to Yi Mo. He knew that this guy would have quite some things ahead of him in the third round. He pressed with his hand. The top 30 squads of the first round has 152 people remaining. These 152 will progress to the second round of the tournament. The second round and third round will be at the Dao Seeking Square. It will commence 3 days later. Yi Mo dazed. He thought that second round and third round would continue immediately after. Why was it 3 days later? Martial brother Moing, thanks for saving me before. Otherwise, we can't even reach top 30, and we would have no right to go to the second round. Purple Rain Goddess walked over to thank Yi Mo. The other two from her team also came to thank Yi Mo. It's nothing, Yi Mo said, and then saw the 3 immortal kings of Zhongpiao Heaven come over with faces full of joy. Haha, Moing, you did very well. Even I looked wrong. You actually got first, great, Ping Zhou Immortal King said. Yi Mo could feel that Ping Zhou Immortal King approved of him from the bottom of his heart, and quickly said, Moing, greet 3 Immortal King Qianbei. This isn't a place to tlack. Let's go to our residence first. Kai Feng Immortal King smiled. He was in a very good mood. In the past tournaments, Zhongpiao Heaven would be lucky if they had 1 team go into the second round, but this time there was 3. At Nua Immortal City, Zhongpiao Heaven's Spirit Rest Tower, although many people were disqualified, the atmosphere was still great. In the temporary meeting room, the 3 Immortal Kings were still excited. There weren't many who could come here. Other than Yi Mo, there was Suji and Purple Rain Goddess team. The third team was the team Mang Yong was at. This time our Zhongpiao Heaven did very well. Not only is Moing first, but there's 3 teams in top 30. This is great. Kai Feng Immortal King said. There were only 50 people from Zhongpiao Heaven, but there were more than 10 into the second round. How could he not be happy? He had never felt what it was like to be surrounded by many immortal kings before. In the past, it was only them who walked around congratulating people. It was annoying, but they still had to do it. This tournament went very well. Tell us about which levels you reach. And what happened? Ping Zhou, Immortal King, was in a good mood. He usually spoke the least, but now he spoke the most. Purple Rain Goddess said, our team was attacked by blood-robed Immortal Shueqing Xian. 2 of us crushed the Jade card and left the tower. The remaining 4 of us were planning to fight with blood-robed Immortal. That's when we met Martial Brother Moing. He saved us, and then forced blood-robed Immortal out of the tower. Only they could we keep searching for 7 refined stones. At the moment before the tower closed, we went into level 4. We stayed in there for half a day, and was teleported out.
Oh.
Kai Feng Immortal King didn't expect Yi Mo to have saved them, and looked at Yi Mo in shock. Then he nodded and looked at the 2 further standing abstruse Immortal. You left before your team left? The 2 abstruse Immortals' faces went pale before they said anything. Kai Feng waved his hand. Get out. You 2 don't need to go into the next round. Yes. The 2 didn't dare to say anything and left with their heads hanging low. Yi Mo approved of this Kai Feng Immortal King now. Even he looked down on people who abandoned their team mates before the fight even began. Even if you were to run, at least run when you couldn't hold on anymore. Plus, the team formed because they all knew each other. Mang Yong wasn't the captain of his team. It was someone called Yu Lai, 3rd on the abstruse ranking. He said, we also reached level 4 and encountered a level 4 immortal spirit beast. Mang Yong got separated from us, but he hit at level 4 and nothing happened. Yes, I found 5 4-colored 7 refined stones at level 4. Mang Yong bowed and said, Yi Mo knew this guy was lying. He clearly went to level 5, but from what he said, Yi Mo knew this guy probably didn't go to level 6. Kai Feng, Immortal King, nodded. That's right. You all did very well. No matter why the second round is delayed by 3 days, don't go out casually. Kai Feng, Immortal King, didn't explicitly say, but Yuan Heaven seemed unhappy with the results of the first round. Okay, you all go out. Moing stay? Kai Feng nodded. Moing, when I saw you at Gulan Immortal City, I knew you weren't ordinary. You seemed to be afraid of me at the time. Later on, you acted timidly too. Are you scared of us 3 old guys? Su Huan stared at Yi Mo and asked. Yi Mo knew that he had to face this no matter what as long as he reached top 10. Yes, Qianbei, I'm not from Zhongpiao Heaven. I wanted to go into Blue Lightning Immortal Well to cultivate, that's why I was worried. Yi Mo replied. His tone was calm and didn't seem timid before. He had 3 spots in his hand. He didn't need to worry about what the 3 Immortal Kings would do to him. Once he was in Dao Seeking Tower, he would have nothing to do with them. As expected, Su Huan Immortal King smiled. Haha, Zhongpiao Heaven should be thanking you instead. With your power you can participate at any heaven domain. By the way, where is that beautiful female immortal with you? If she needs some help she can come to me. Su Huan Immortal King clearly knew Zhen Bingyu didn't have immortal essence. She's my martial sister. She's in solitary cultivation now. Thank you for asking Qianbei. If I need Qianbei's help I will definitely ask. Yi Mo thanked. Kai Feng Immortal King was rather happy with Yi Mo's performance and looked down on the heaven domain that forced Yi Mo out. Such a prodigy was forced to another domain. They were idiots. He smiled and asked, you got 300 or so points. You probably went to a high level of 7 refined tower, right? What's the highest level you went? Yi Mo would definitely not say. He went into level 7. He said slowly, Wanbei just reached level 6 and encountered a powerful immortal spirit beast, so I could only crush the jade card and come out. Yi Mo would definitely not say. He went into level 7. He said slowly, Wanbei just reached level 6 and encountered a powerful immortal spirit beast, so I could only crush the jade card and come out. You reached level 6? The 3 immortal kings looked at Yi Mo in shock. Yes, my stealth cultivation method is good, so I reached level 6. I just didn't get anything. Yi Mo thought. He only got 7 6-colored stones. This wasn't anything. Then, how do you have so many points? Su Huan asked in confusion. I was lucky. I found a 7 refined stone pile at level 5 and got 30 in one go. Yi Mo answered. If he didn't expose his power, he might really say he found more than 100 stones at level 2. The 3 looked at each other as though shocked by Yi Mo's insane luck. After a long while, Kai Feng said, 5 colored stones are really rare. You need to use it well. It's hard to buy even with immortal crystals. In the entire immortal realm, only the 7 refined tower has such things. Yi Mo knew it was good but still asked, may I ask Kai Feng Qianbei what exactly is its use? Kai Feng Immortal King nodded. The stone contains fire element qi. Those who cultivate fire element cultivation method can use it to improve his fire element god art. Just from that, 7 refined stones are countless times more precious than fire element immortal crystals. On top of that, the stones could also allow rare flames to nirvana and upgrade. Hearing this, Yi Mo didn't expect the stones could also upgrade fire element god art. Didn't that mean his Heaven Flame 9 Suns could be upgraded? Moing, how are you planning to divide the 3 spots? Kai Feng Immortal King saw Yi Mo understand the 7 refined stones, so he changed topics. His tone was calm, but even Yi Mo could feel the excitement there. Su Huan and Ping Zhou also looked at Yi Mo. Kai Feng Immortal King's words made Yi Mo have a great impression of him. In reality, the 3 immortal kings can completely decide for themselves, but they still asked him, an abstruse immortal. Yi Mo quickly said, I only want 1 heaven immortal spot. 3 Qianbais can decide for the 2 remaining spots. Hearing this, the 3 nodded in satisfaction. Kai Feng Immortal King continued, what do you need the most now? Yemo immediately knew he was going to be rewarded, so he quickly said, Wanbei has a sword, and I'm planning to upgrade it. I lack some top-grade materials. At this moment, he wasn't going to be polite. Ping Zhou, Immortal King, suddenly took out a black ore and passed it to Yemo. I have a phoenix black gold here. Do you think it's useful? Yemo was overjoyed. He quickly accepted and said, it's very useful. Thank you, Ping Zhou, Immortal King Qianbei. Phoenix black gold was top-grade forgery material, level 7 immortal material. How could he reject something like this? With the Phoenix black gold and the Will illusion crystals, he would be able to upgrade Zisu to level 7 immortal artifact once his forgery skills improved. Su Huan Immortal King and Kai Feng Immortal King gave 1,000 blade sand and extreme lightning gold respectively. They were all level 6 immortal materials. Yemo had decided to use these two to upgrade Zisu to middle-grade immortal artifact first. Seeing Yemo took all 3 ores, the 3 Immortal King felt quite good. Kai Feng said, MOing, you should probably be the strongest in the Zhong Piao Heaven contestants. Although you got a spot, I still hope you can try your best at the second round. If you can get another first, Zhong Piao Heaven would get another Immortal King into the Dao Seeking Tower. I've been inside already, but Su Huan and Ping Zhou Immortal King hadn't been inside. Even though he knew Yemo's points came mostly from luck, Kai Feng still had some hopes for Yemo as he was able to touch level 6. Hearing this, Yemo sweated. He didn't expect they saw through what he planned. He really didn't plan to try it round 2, but he didn't object to Kai Feng Immortal King's words. This Kai Feng Immortal King really knew how to do things. He would first give things, and then ask. Yemo could only say, Wanbei will try my best. At the same time, Yemo also respected Kai Feng Immortal King. Although he had been in there once, he only reached the first 3 levels. His power was weak at the time. If he went in now, he would definitely benefit countless times more from it. However, what he said before meant that he was giving the spot out. Yemo respected his magnanimous character. Okay. I'll thank you for the Zhong Piao Heaven Immortal Kings. I know your will isn't at Zhong Piao Heaven, and you will be leaving Zhong Piao Heaven after this tournament. Everyone has their own wills, we won't force you. I have a jade slip here. It's a fragmented map of a place in Jinshang Heaven. It's said there are many rare forgery materials inside. If you have the fortune, you can go in and have a look. Kai Feng Immortal King gave another jade slip to Yemo sighed. This Immortal King, who had lived for countless years, really knew how to talk. They were all very cunning. They knew he had his secrets, and that's why he hid his power. But they didn't force him, and instead said people all have their own will. They gave him materials and jade slip, making him feel embarrassed instead. Su Huan Immortal King smiled after this tournament. You're welcome to come back to Zhong Piao Heaven when you have time. If you need us to help you with anything, you can send a message too. And if you see Immortal Kings in the future, you need to call them Immortal King Master. If you called Qianbei, people would easily knew you ascended from a lower realm. This isn't good for you. Yemo quickly thanked. He really didn't know this. You can go. Remember to not go out of the city. Yuan Le Heaven seems unhappy with us getting first. You need to be careful.
Kai Feng said.
After Yemo came out, many of the Zhong Piao Heaven contestants greeted him. This was completely different to the scorn and cold eyes he received on the ship. Yemo was planning to use these 3 days to go buy things, but in order to prevent accidents, he didn't go out. He believed the judgment of the 3 Immortal Kings. There weren't many chances to go into the Dao Seeking Tower. If he missed this opportunity, he wouldn't get one again. He was certain he would break through to Great Unity Immortal after coming out of the Dao Seeking Tower. He wouldn't be able to participate in the tournament again then. 3 days passed, and before the second round started, the Dao Seeking Square was filled with immortals again. The first round was exciting, but they couldn't see what was going on. In the second and third round, they could see the elites of the 11 heaven domains fight. There were a few million people in the square, more were flooding in. Yet, the square didn't seem packed at all. Yemo knew why there were so many people here. After the third round, the Dao Seeking Tower would open. The instant it opens, All the immortals at the square would be able to feel the Tao waves from inside. Countless years, every time the Tao-seeking tower opened, immortals in the square have felt the Tao waves and increased his power. Some immortals even learned his own god art. The immortal kings of each heaven domain brought in their contestants into the Tao-seeking square. Zhong Piao Heaven's 3 immortal kings walked at the very front. This time, Kai Feng Immortal King kept greeting the immortal kings nearby. Other people knew they were showing off, but there was nothing they could do. Zhong Piao Heaven was first. Immortal King flew to the Tao-seeking altar. He didn't seem disappointed like before. He raised his hands and said loudly to the millions of immortals on the square, "The second round to the Tao-seeking tournament begins now. Please enter the field, contestants." There were just 152 people in second round, but only 150 people came. 2 people went missing from Zhong Piao Heaven. As for why, Immortal King couldn't be bothered asking. There were just 152 people in second round, but only 150 people came. 2 people went missing from Zhong Piao Heaven. As for why, Immortal King couldn't be bothered asking. Seeing the 150 people come, Immortal King said the second round is to leave a mark on the Tao-seeking tablet. This second round is prepared for the third round. The first 64 people will proceed to the third round. The rest of you will be disqualified. The second round only awards 5 people. The first would get a status immortal spot, the second would get a great immortal spot, the third to 5th would each get a heaven immortal spot. Yemo was confused what that Tao-seeking mark was when Immortal King and the 4 immortal kings next to him each shot out a light. Soon, 5 light veils formed a pentagon in the center of the square. There was a rumbling sound inside, as though something was about to explode. 5 minutes later, an empty void door appeared in the center of the light. This door appeared suddenly. Other than this door, there was no stone tablet nor anything. The barrier slowly expanded from the side until it was only a few meters from the contestants before stopping. Not only was Emo confused, but so was everyone else. How could they leave a mark if there was no tablet? This huge void door is the Tao-seeking door to the second round. Contestants only need to go through this door and walk to the end. Then they will see a stone tablet. Leave your name on there. He explained simply. It's that simple? Some contestants asked. Immortal King smiled. Perhaps it's simpler than you had thought. Good luck, everyone. Now all the contestants can go in. Yemo frowned. He felt this door wasn't that easy. Did the second round get delayed by 3 days just so they could set up this simple challenge? Theoretically, they should be setting up a test that would benefit them more. From how Yuan Le Heaven had twice as many contestants as other heaven domains, Yemo could tell that this landlord was a bit shameless. He didn't believe they wouldn't play tricks at the second round. Yemo thought so, and many thought so as well. However, people started going in the door. The earlier they went in, the earlier they would see the Tao-seeking tablet. But when those people charged in, they just walked a few steps and was pushed back by a power. More than 10 abstruse immortal were swept outside the light veil. Before they could get back in, Immortal King said, "Those who went in and get sweep out are disqualified." With this, those abstruse immortals were dumbfounded. They didn't even participate and was disqualified. This was bleak indeed. Yemo sneered. This Immortal King was very shameless. He doesn't even explain the rules of the tournament. He didn't even say that the ring had a pushing force. As expected, those abstruse immortals swept back weren't from Yuan Le Heaven. Every Yuan Le Heaven contestant had a serious face and walked step by step. Clearly, they knew that they had to slowly walk and not charge into the door. Yemo saw everyone walk step by step forward, and so he stepped inside the light too. As soon as he did, a powerful force came. Yemo finally understood what happened. If one wasn't expecting this, they might really be swept out. Yemo's immortal essence and spirit sense was far beyond ordinary abstruse immortal. The resistance in the light was powerful, but if he wanted to be the first to go in the door, it wasn't hard. However, he didn't do this. He just moved slowly in the crowd. He already got a spot in the Tao-seeking tower. Although he agreed he would try his best, but he didn't want to be the leading goat in some unknown situation. Yi Mo suspected this Tao-seeking tower seemed like a magic artifact. If this was an immortal king's magic artifact, and he went in, wouldn't all his secrets be exposed? As Yi Mo walked, he was also frustrated. Yi Mo still wanted to help Kai Feng, Immortal King. The Immortal Kings gave him good materials and didn't even mention about him hiding his power.
Nor did they ask about his secrets.
Kai Feng, Immortal King, even gave him that jade slip. Jin Shang Heaven was a grand heaven domain. Who knows if there were good things there? Of course, another reason was that Zhen Bingyu was still at Zhong Piao Heaven. If he gave a spot to Su Huan, Immortal King, she would definitely take care of Zhen Bingyu. The person at the front now was Guan Feijian. His power was strong indeed. He even scanned back at Yi Mo, and the contempt was obvious in his eyes. Clearly, he felt Yi Mo got first in the first round because he was lucky. Clearly, blood-robed Immortal didn't say he lost to him. Following closely behind Guan Feijian was a bearded abstruse immortal. He seemed to be from Yuan, Le Heaven judging by his clothes. Next after was a blue-shirt abstruse immortal. This was Len Qingshan from Kong, Sheng Heaven Domain. If those three were the first bunch, then behind them was the second bunch. Behind Len Qingshan was a male and two female. The male was Huang Jia Heaven Qin Warren. His team got third in the first round. The two females were Xian Len and Sun Ran Goddess. Then, it was Zhongyu Heaven Wu Wanlin Mu Sha, Xiaomeng Heaven Domain, Liao Lingxian, Wenchong Heaven Taizong Fei, and a few Yi Mo didn't know. However, Yi Mo was confused that blood-robed immortal actually wasn't eliminated in the first round. He was also in the second round. Purple Rain Goddess, Yu Lai, and them were at the fourth bunch. As for Meng Yong, he was at the fifth bunch. This Meng Yong was strange. He was still preserving strength at the second round. Yi Mo was certain he could reach the second bunch, or even the first. Seeing that Guan Feijian was near the Tao-seeking tower but Yi Mo was still dragging behind, Su Ji was confused. He looked back at Yi Mo in confusion. He knew Yi Mo's abilities. Yi Mo must be conserving strength again. Seeing even Su Ji look at him, Yi Mo knew that if he didn't hurry, even the three Immortal King would suspect him. Thinking about this, Yi Mo sped up and instantly surpassed Meng Yong, and them nearing Su Ji and them. Even if this Tao-seeking door was an Immortal King magic artifact, unless this Immortal King dared to shatter his sea of consciousness, he wouldn't be able to see his golden page world. Intentionally shattering the sea of consciousness of a contestant in the Tao-seeking tournament would start a war between heaven domains. Even Yuan, Le Heaven didn't dare to do this. They were strong, but they wouldn't be able to challenge the other 10 heaven domains at the same time. Brother Mo, you go first. We'll try to get to top 64. Su Ji nodded. Though Yi Mo was taking care of their face. Yi Mo smiled while putting a dual spirit pill in his mouth. He sped up. 5 minutes later, when Guan Feijian was about to enter the Tao, Yi Mo came to the second bunch. Brother Mo, hello, I'm Ning Xuanran. I've admired you for a few days. It's great to know you today. An aromatic breath came next to Yi Mo. A soft voice sounded by Yi Mo's ear. Yi Mo looked back and saw a yellow flowery-dressed female immortal move next to him and smile. She seemed innocent, and her extremely beautiful face gave people an immediate good impression. Even compared to Zhen Bingyu, she was only a little lesser. Yi Mo didn't expect her to come talk to him. I was just lucky. Xuanran Goddess is fourth on the Yuan Le Heaven Immortal rank. You can definitely take back your glory in this round. Yi Mo said politely. He had a good impression of her because her surname was Ning, making him think of Ning Qingxue. Seeing softness on Yi Mo's face, Xuanran smiled but didn't take it seriously. Who wasn't attracted by her looks. However, there was a sneer on the side. Yi Mo didn't need to turn back to know it was Xian Len Goddess. A goddess who was on par in beauty with her. Yi Mo knew the two had conflicts and didn't want to be caught in the middle. He smiled and sped up, and in a few seconds, Yi Mo caught up to Len Qingshan. This powerful Xianlen goddess looked dazedly as Emo was near the door. She even forgot to go forward. She thought Emo used a lot of effort to catch up, but this guy was just strolling around. This powerful Xianlen goddess looked dazedly as Emo was near the door. She even forgot to go forward. She thought Emo used a lot of effort to catch up, but this guy was just strolling around. Even Xuanren goddess was dazed. She spoke to Emo partly because she approved of him. Regardless whether Emo got first in the first round through luck or not, it was a demonstration of power. That's why she came up to flirt with Emo and try to make a good impression. Emo just showed softness of his face. Clearly he was moved by her beauty. Why did he suddenly leave her behind? At this moment, Guan Feijian and that bearded abstruse immortal already went inside the door. Emo went in with Len Qingshan at the same time. "You're very good." Len Qingshan saw Emo caught up to him and said. There was a sliver of surprise in his eyes. Emo smiled but said nothing. The instant he entered the door, he couldn't sense the other three anymore. There was a bleak, dark tunnel. Just as he, Immortal King, said, at the end of the tunnel, there would be Dao's seeking tablet. If it was some desperate person, he would have charged up immediately, but Emo felt vigilant coming in here. He carefully took 2 steps forward, and suddenly a terrifying pressure came. Emo felt he entered a dream. Qingxue, Susu charged at him. There was a huge, ravaging river before them. It was as though they would fall in if they took another step. No, Emo called out, but after that a thin stream of coolness circulated in his essence spirit. Emo suddenly woke up. There was definitely a big trap ahead of him. He didn't keep going forward and stopped instead. He was certain his guess was right. This door was a magic artifact. That feeling was like heart demon. If he hadn't been cultivating in front of the bitter bamboo and had no heart demon, he really would have fell for it. Emo didn't act like he was awake, but instead looked very worried and kept charging forward. 10 seconds later, Emo saw a bloody river again. Emo checked with his spirit sense carefully and immediately knew this was no blood river. It was a circulating illusion formation. If he went in, he would be walking around in circles endlessly. Emo jumped in the blood river and started walking around while thinking when was a good time to go. Just when Emo was worried, a powerful spirit sense pressure came over. That terrifying pressure almost crippled Emo. Immortal King, this old bastard, was too shameless. Emo cursed, but still had to pretend he lost his mind. This is the Dao-seeking door. If you want to enter the Dao-seeking tower, you must pass the questioning of the door. If you answer wrong, you will be forever sunken in the blood river and never to reincarnate. A voice sounded in the tunnel. It was as though he was being questioned by great Dao. Emo cursed in his heart while his face acted dazedly. What is your name? That voice sounded like it was from the bottom of the abyss. Mo Ing. Where do you come from? What secrets do you have? I come from Su Sun planet. I have a spirit-seeking magic artifact. It can find any immortal spirit item below level 6. Mo answered, but looked down on he. This old bastard was so shameless. He was certain that if this guy targeted someone else, he would have spilled all his secrets. But at least this way, he didn't have to worry about exposing his golden page world. Why did you get 356 points in the first round? I found a bunch of stones in the tower. I got 36 5-colored stones. Walk around the river 19,000 times and you can get what you want. Then, the voice disappeared. This old bastard not only asked for his secrets and also made him walk around the river 19,000 times. By the time he was done, the second round would have nothing to do with him. But Emo had to listen to him and started spinning. After a few spins, he suddenly went violent and hacked around with Zisu. Purple sword rays hacked on the tunnel wall. He hacked faster and faster until he couldn't even care about his immortal essence anymore. Immortal King sneered. He thought this guy was powerful, but it turned out to be just luck. His stealth cultivation method should be quite good. His spirit-seeking magic artifact was good, but it could only find level 6 immortal spirit herb. It wasn't much use to him. Then, he couldn't be bothered with Emo. He didn't believe Emo could stay awake in here. Even a great eternity immortal wouldn't be able to stay unaffected by Heart Demon after being pressured with his spirit sense. Yemo wasn't hacking Zisu around for no reason. When he noticed Immortal King's spirit sense had left, his spirit sense hacked out. The spirit sense blades seeped out with Zisu sword rays. A short time later, Yemo's spirit sense blades penetrated the illusion formation tunnel. Soon, Yemo saw the other contestants. Guan Feijian was already very far ahead. Looking at him, he was probably taught on what to do. He also saw that Qin Wuren and Lin Qingshan were running around in circles. Without a doubt, it was this bastard. This bastard was cheating so obviously. He clearly wanted to take the top 5 of the second round, but Yemo wasn't going to let them have it. He gave Qin Wuren and Lin Qingshan each a spirit sense blade. They woke up immediately. Their face changed drastically and clearly remembered what happened before. They immediately charged out of the illusion formation. But how could Yemo let this Guan Feijian go so easily? He released tens of spirit sense blades and set up a spirit sense blade formation before him. Yemo knew this couldn't slow Guan Feijian, but it would slow him down and let Qin Wuren and Lin Qingshan catch up. Then, he took back his spirit sense and pretended to accidentally cut his arm, making him wake up for a brief moment. During this time, he charged out of the Blood River illusion and sped ahead. It was as tough the three woke up at the same time. Moments later, Yemo surpassed Guan Feijian. Even Lin Qingshan and Qin Wuren were near Guan Feijian. He saw this and was amazed. Just when he wanted to do something again, he heard someone on his side say, Immortal King, you've been constantly using your spirit sense in the second round. Are you participating in the second round, Odo? Immortal King was shook. He looked back and saw Huang Ming Immortal King's fierce eyes. He was shook and carefully said, Dao-Seeking Tower is one of the Dao-Seeking magic artifact of Yuan La Heaven. It does not belong to me. How can I participate? He didn't dare to have conflict with this Immortal King. Huang Ming Immortal King was a peak Immortal King of Huangjia Heaven. He was one step away from Immortal Monarch. Regardless if Huang Ming Immortal King would reach Immortal Monarch or not, an Immortal King peak stage wasn't someone an Immortal King tertiary stage like him could offend. If it's found that he was controlling the second round, even Yuan La Heaven wouldn't be able to protect him. Huang Ming Immortal King sneered, I was afraid the Dao-Seeking tablet would be used by someone. If something like this really happened, Huangjia Heaven won't let this go. Immortal King sneered, but didn't dare to scan his spirit sense in the Dao-Seeking tablet again. Yemo sped up. He thought his spirit sense would come back soon, but after a long while it didn't come. He guessed that the Dao-Seeking tablet wasn't Immortal King's. His spirit sense wasn't able to come in here all the time. With this, Yemo had no concern. He had a few more spirit sense blades out. Then he saw Qin Wuren and Lin Qingshan in an illusion again. Yemo was confused. Did Immortal King scan his spirit sense in again? But soon, Yemo realized he worried too much. Guan Feijian was in trouble too. In that case, Yemo didn't intervene again. Yemo realized that this place was a place that created Heart Demon. Yemo didn't even have Heart Demon at all. In a short while, Yemo was about to reach the end. He stopped. He didn't want to get the first of the second round for now. If he got first of the second round, he would definitely be ambushed in the third round. That Immortal King would definitely not allow Zhongpiao Heaven to get first for all three. In a short while, Yemo was about to reach the end.
He stopped.
He didn't want to get the first of the second round for now. If he got first of the second round, he would definitely be ambushed in the third round. That Immortal King would definitely not allow Zhongpiao Heaven to get first for all three. When it was the third round, he wouldn't care. After the third round, he would go in the Dao-Seeking Tower immediately. In there, no one would be able to affect him. He could go whenever he liked. Yemo scanned his spirit sense out and soon found Suji. He was around 30th. Suji was trapped by an illusion formation too. Without hesitation, Yi-Mo hacked his spirit sense blade near Su-Ji's Sea of Consciousness and a few spirit sense blades on the illusion formation that trapped him. That formation paused for a brief moment. Su-Ji suddenly felt his Sea of Consciousness shake, and the illusion formation paused for a moment. A clear tunnel appeared before his eyes. Without hesitation, Su-Ji charged up. When he was about to enter into Heart Demon again, Yi-Mo sent a few more spirit sense blades over. The tunnel wasn't long. With Yi-Mo's repeated help, Su-Ji quickly surpassed Guan Feijian and became the first to charge out of the tunnel. Yi-Mo didn't follow Su-Ji out, nor did he scan his spirit sense out. In this magic artifact, there didn't seem to be any other spirit sense except for his. If his spirit sense went out, who knew if he would be caught? After a while, after Guan Feijian, Lin Qingshan and Qin Wuren went out, he was the fifth to leave. He got fifth because there would be another Heaven Immortal spot. He would be able to get Zhong Piao Heaven another one. It was the attitude of the three immortal kings that Yi-Mo decided to help. If the three immortal kings' attitude was bad, and even suspected him, Yi-Mo would definitely not take out these 5 spots. He wouldn't even participate in the second round. At the end of a tunnel, Yi-Mo saw a stone tablet indeed. Yi-Mo believed this was the Tao-seeking tablet. If you left a mark there, it would be Tao mark. This stone tablet was only 3 meters tall and 60 cms wide. Yi-Mo went on and left the words MOing without hesitation. After Yi-Mo walked past it, he found himself not on the square, but in a hall. There was no one inside. Yi-Mo knew that although he couldn't see anyone here, there was definitely people here. At least Su-Ji and them were here. He didn't keep using spirit sense blades to check. It was the end of the round now. He only needed to wait. After waiting for nearly 2 hours, the place lit up. Yi-Mo knew time was up, and then he found that he was in the square. The Tao-seeking door was gone. The other 100 or so contestants all came out. Some still had fear on their faces. Clearly, they didn't recover from their heart demons. Su-Ji came over and greeted brother Mo. He felt someone helped him in the tunnel, but he wasn't certain. He immediately thought of Yi-Mo and wanted to ask. Yi-Mo smiled and patted his shoulder. Don't talk. This is someone else's land. Su-Ji immediately knew that Yi-Mo indeed helped him. There was gratitude in his eyes. He didn't know how Yi-Mo did it, but he trusted Yi-Mo. By the way, I suggest you give up the 3rd round and rest up first. Yi-Mo suddenly added. Su-Ji was shook and looked at Yi-Mo in confusion. He didn't know what his rank was, but with Yi-Mo's help he was certain he was in the 3rd round. Why did Yi-Mo tell him to give up? Isn't the 2nd round for the 3rd round? If he gave up the 3rd round, what was the point of the 2nd round? Su-Ji frowned. He believed Yi-Mo wouldn't harm him. He felt Yi-Mo was a worthy friend, but Yi-Mo's words were completely unreasonable. Before Su-Ji could ask why, Purple Rain Goddess and a few people came to greet Yi-Mo. Yi-Mo found that Mangyong came to greet him too. Yi-Mo smiled and responded to them all. In his heart, he looked down on this Mangyong. This guy is too much of a turtle. He hides his stones in the 1st round, but that was reasonable as who didn't like these stones. But in the 2nd round, he still hid his power. When Yi-Mo scanned this guy, he found that if he tried, he could definitely get into top 3, but this kept stayed around 45th. The 2nd round had ended. Relatively, this round was much shorter than the 1st round. The results haven't been published, but the square was in discussion. He didn't scan the situation after being warned. Now, he could finally release the unhappiness in his heart. He flew to the altar and said the 2nd round had finished. Contestants, please retreat. Yi-Mo followed everyone to the border of the light. The square suddenly rumbled again, and a stone tablet rose. That void door was gone, and this tablet took its place. Then, the tablet grew and instantly reached a height of a few hundred meters and a width of 10 meters. Soon, 4 golden words appeared at the top of the tablet, Tao-seeking mark tablet. He then said, this tablet is made by a immortal forgery Grand Master of the Middle Heaven domain. It is a replica of the Tao mark tablet. I hope you all will have an opportunity to touch the real Tao mark tablet. Everyone was confused too. Where was the Dao Mark tablet, and what level did you need to be to touch it? Immortal King scanned everyone and said, as for where it is and how to touch it, I can only tell you that once your power reaches a certain level you will know what it is. But I need to remind you, at least in the middle 11 heaven domains, there's no person who has the right to touch it. With this, the square sunk into discussion again. Even an immortal king tertiary stage couldn't touch it. Could only immortal monarch or immortal emperor touch that Dao Mark tablet? Everyone calm down. The first 64 of the second round is about to be announced. He said. Only then did everyone put their attention back on the Dao-seeking Mark tablet. This time, the names showed from first. When the first name to show was Su Ji Zong Piao Heaven Domain, the square exploded again. Even the immortal kings were completely shocked and looked at Su Ji. They didn't dare to believe at all. How was Zong Piao Heaven first in the second round again? And this was a never heard of before Su Ji. Zong Piao Heaven immortal kings glanced at each other in joy. They definitely didn't expect to be first again. They thought even if they were to be first it would be that Moing, not Su Ji. Was the great luck of Zong Piao Heaven coming? Who is Su Ji? Some immortal kings asked. Dao-seeking door-tested heart demon. Those who could get first definitely wouldn't be weak. I've heard of this person. He's ranked 9th on the Zong Piao Heaven abstruse ranking. That's strange. How is Zong Piao Heaven first for both rounds? And this Su Ji is only 9th on the abstruse rank. Would the ones ranked ahead be stronger? Impossible. Guan Feijian clenched his fists tightly. He didn't expect he wasn't first again. He was clearly the first to enter the door. How could he not be first? Cheating. This was definitely cheating. Otherwise, with Zong Piao Heaven's trash power, how could they get first twice in a row? I'm first. Su Ji looked at the first name on the tablet dazedly. He was still in shock. How could he be first? I'm first. Su Ji looked at the first name on the tablet dazedly. He was still in shock. How could he be first? But it wrote clearly, First Su Ji, Zong Piao Heaven. Congratulations, Martial Brother Su. Purple Rain Goddess had a bitter smile. On the abstruse ranking she was so much higher than Su Ji, but Su Ji got first, and she wasn't even confident that she got into the top 30. Su Ji suddenly murmured, I understand, so that's it. He subconsciously looked at Emo but found that Emo wasn't looking at him. He finally understood why Emo told him not to go to the third round. His first was given to him by Emo. Just how insane was this Moing? He actually knew he was first? This meant that if Moing wanted first in the second round, he would have no trouble at all. Su Ji held down the excitement in his heart and the impulse to go talk to Emo. He now knew that Emo's future was far beyond his imagination. Being friends with someone like this was his fortune. Su Ji breathed and decided to listen to Emo and give up on the third round. He trusted Emo's judgment. There's definitely a reason for him to give up the third round. Second Guan Feijian. Yuan Le Heaven. As expected, it was Guan Feijian. The three immortal kings of Zong Piao Heaven couldn't stop smiling as they were being congratulated by the other heaven domains. Yuan Le Heaven's immortal king had a sunken face. First was taken by Zong Piao Heaven again. This was with him intervening regarding the Emo as well. Third Len Qingshan, Kong Sheng Heaven Domain. Fourth Qin Warren, Huang Jia Heaven Domain. Fifth Moing, Zong Piao Heaven Domain. Haha, nice Zong Piao Heaven Domain. I respect it. When Qin Warren's name was called out, Huang Ming Immortal King laughed, clearly happy that Huang Jia Heaven Domain got another name while respecting that Zong Piao Heaven got 2 more spots. Seeing that Yuan Le Heaven only had 1 spot in the top 5, He's face was scarily bleak. This not only affected Yuan Le Heaven, but also himself. He was now Immortal King tertiary stage. If he could go in the Dao-seeking tower once, then he might be able to learn the truth about Immortal Monarch. Yet in the first 2 rounds, the only Immortal King spots were taken by Zong Piao Heaven. This is definitely cheating. Otherwise, how can Zong Piao Heaven get first twice? Guan Feijian, object. Guan Feijian finally couldn't resist yelling. He was second in both rounds. This made him furious. In the first round, he could blame it on his team for dragging him down, but the second round tested on ability, and he was still second. Not just that, there was only him from Yuan Le Heaven who got into top 5. Not only so, first and fifth were both from Zhongpiao Heaven. Yi Mo sneered, cheating? The real cheater is that old bastard, He Immortal King. Even if he didn't help Su Ji cheat, he would be first. This Guan Feijian has the face to talk about cheating. If he really cheated, he could completely make him fall out of top 5. Su Ji sneered too. He knew that his first was due to cheating, but he knew that even if Yi Mo didn't help him, first wouldn't belong to Guan Feijian. Cheating? Haha, Huang Ming Immortal King laughed again. His power was the strongest here. No one dared to say a thing if he was going to laugh. Yuan Le Heaven is the landlord and has twice the amount of contestants as other heaven domains. Yuan Le Heaven also brought up the tournament method. This Dao-seeking door belongs to Yuan Le Heaven. After the first round, Yuan Le Heaven just decided to delay the second round by 3 days. I really want to know who's cheating. Huang Ming Immortal King's voice suddenly went cold. The tens of Immortal Kings here knew that Huang Ming Immortal King was already unhappy with Yuan Le Heaven pushing back the tournament time on their own. Guan Feijian, don't say bullshit. The tournament is just and fair. If you say any more, you'll be disqualified from the third round. Another Yuan Le Heaven Immortal King who knew what was going on immediately reproached Guan Feijian. Even if there was cheating, it was Yuan Le Heaven cheating. The delay was to let that MOing come out and teach him a lesson. It was best to beat him until he couldn't participate in the later rounds or even go into the Dao-seeking tower. Usually, those who got first would be cocky and come out to show off. But they didn't expect Yi Mo to be this careful. He didn't even leave his spirit rest tower. They couldn't charge into his spirit rest tower and teach him a lesson. Guan Feijian didn't dare to call out cheating after being warned, but he stared at Yi Mo and Su Ji, saying coldly, "The third round is head-on battle. I hope Zhongpiao Heaven still has the power to take first." Yuan Le Heaven is so dominant. If other people get first, it's cheating, but you guys got second, and it's reasonable? Haha. Plus, your Yuan Le Heaven contestants already know the third round is head-on battle. We didn't know that at all. Their news is really good. Amazing. One Kong Sheng Heaven Domain Abstruse Immortal sneered. Who are you? Guan Feijian's killing intent rose like an invisible sword at this abstruse immortal. I'm Kong Sheng Heaven's Zhuang Tao. I look down on people who can't allow others to be better than him. What are you going to do? Then, this abstruse immortal's power rose too, wanting to block Guan Feijian's invisible sword rays, but his power was clearly weaker than Guan Feijian. His face went pale immediately. Lin Qingshan stepped forward and raised his hand. That invisible sword ray disappeared, and then he said coldly, "Brother Guan, the third round hasn't even begun yet. You can't even wait anymore?" Humph. Guan Feijian sneered. You better not encounter me in the third round or you will regret it for your entire life. Zhuang Tao was weaker than Guan Feijian, but his temper wasn't. He also sneered. Hearing what you say, I almost thought you were first for both rounds, shameless thing. Guan Feijian's face was green, but he didn't attack. Su Ji knew how to talk. He got up and saluted with his fists to Zhuang Tao. Thank you for your words, Brother Zhuang. I don't need to guess to know that he won't be the first in the third round. Haha, Brother Su is right. Zhuang Tao was clearly happy with Su Ji's words. He helped Zhongpiao Heaven, and if they said nothing, he wouldn't be comfortable. Guan Feijian's killing intent grew sharper and sharper. It was about to spill. He was going to kill in the third round. After this, 6th and 10th were called. 6th Zhang Kuang, Yuan Le Heaven. This Zhuang Kuang was probably that bearded abstruse immortal following Guan Feijian. He should have been third, but he helped Qin Warren and Lin Qingshan, so this guy went from third to 6th. Su Ji whispered to Yi Mo. Zhuang Kuang is the second on the Yuan Le Heaven's Heaven Immortal leaderboard. Yi Mo nodded. 7th Ning Xuanran, Yuan Le Heaven. 8th Yan Xianlen, Yuan Le Heaven. 9th Fu Lingtian, Yuan Le Heaven. Yi Mo was speechless. Yuan Le Heaven was indeed powerful. 10th Feng Jingyue, Jing Duan Heaven. 11th Wu Wanlin, Jiangyu Heaven. 12th Taizongfei, Wenchong Heaven. 13th Liao Lingxian, Xiaomeng Heaven. 14th Ming Qian, Yuanle Heaven. The top 64 names were shown, and Yemo saw that a little under half were from Yuanle Heaven. The top 64 names were shown, and Yemo saw that a little under half were from Yuanle Heaven. Even so, the immortal king's face was bad. This was far from what he had expected. He was unhappy, but as the announcer, he couldn't show it, plus people were suspicious of him already. Second round Zhong Piao, Heaven shines again, getting 2 of the top 5. Mo Ing got 5th after getting 1st in the first round. He obtained a Heaven Immortal spot. He might be the first of this Dao-seeking tournament, or he is already the first. Many people didn't understand this. Clearly, Su Ji got the first of the second round. Why did he praise Mo Ing? Mo was expressionless. Even though he didn't get first, clearly that old guy remembered him. He meant that he wasn't going to let him go in the third round. This was the second time this old guy was drawing hate to him. Even some abstruse immortal could tell that he wasn't just praising Mo Ing, much less those immortal kings. Lin Qingshan was expressionless, but Qin Warren and Wu Wanlin looked coldly at Emo. They seemed prideful. It was as though if they beat Emo in the next round they would be the number 1. Looking at their faces, the immortal king sneered. He had more in stall too. In order to show the high standard of this tournament, after the 3 rounds, 1 person will be crowned first. Whoever can get first will get a pill concoction chance from a Yuanle Heaven level 6 immortal pill great master. He would also get a forgery opportunity from a level 7 immortal forgery grandmaster. This was a huge benefit. Some people who didn't know things thought he set this just for Yemo, as he performed very well in both rounds. If he didn't do too bad on the third round, he would be first. These people started to admire Yemo. Those who knew what he thought sighed at how sinister he immortal king was. The third round could be said to be death battle. You could use any means to win. If you wanted to be first, not only do you have to be first in the third round, but you had to beat Yemo. Before all this, the contestants would just beat Yemo at most. But now, they would use all means necessary to kill Yemo, prove themselves. The faces of the 3 Zhong Piao Heaven Immortal Kings were green. Su Huan Immortal King was about to rage, but Ping Zhou Immortal King stopped her. He Immortal King didn't point names, and he spoke in a fair manner. Yemo sneered. He was a level 6 Immortal Pill Great Master and a level 6 Immortal Forgery Great Master. He wasn't interested in asking people for help with that. He knew this was the Immortal King targeting him, but he didn't care. Even for Guan Feijian, he was confident in killing him. The Immortal King continued like nothing had happened. There's 64 people in the final round. We will use elimination matches. The first of the 32 RD will be guarding their stage. The 33rd to 64th will go up and challenge. The first 32 must and only need to accept 1 challenge. The winner stays and the loser is disqualified. The Immortal King Master, Zhong Piao Heaven Su Ji, will forfeit the third round, Su Ji said loudly. Everyone looked at Hollow Immortal, not understanding why he would suddenly leave. Someone's scared. 1 Yuanle Heaven Abstruse Immortal sneered. Su Ji looked back at that abstruse immortal. If it wasn't that Mo Ing told him to leave, he would stay just for that. But when Su Ji saw that next to this abstruse immortal stood a pale-faced abstruse immortal who looked down, he subconsciously looked at the rankings for the second round. He immediately understood what Mo meant, and his back even began sweating. Mo didn't care about Yuanle Heaven Immortal ranking, but he did. That pale-faced abstruse immortal is called Jiansha, ranked 6th on the Heaven Immortal ranking. Su Ji looked at his information and knew he wasn't originally called Jiansha. He had a special feature. He would kill all his enemies. Unlike Blood-Robed Immortal, he only kills those who fights him, regardless friend or enemy. Those who fought him were all killed. He wouldn't kill the friends and families of the dead. He seemed to kill just for battle. Every time before he killed, he would say kill. Usually when he said kill, no one can escape his next magic. Basically, when he said that word, his opponent is already half dead. With time, people forgot what his name was. They just called him Jian Sha. Such a person was ranked at 39th. Clearly, Yuan Le Heaven did this intentionally. If he didn't leave the tournament, Jian Sha would challenge him first. Su Ji was prideful, but he didn't think he could escape from Jian Sha. He was probably no match for Blood-Robed Immortal. Jian Sha was ranked higher than Blood-Robed Immortal. Soon, Su Ji saw Blood-Robed Immortal. He was ranked below 32 too. Clearly, this was ranked intentionally so. Yuan Le Heaven was shameless indeed. They cheated so overtly, but there was nothing other people could say. He looked at the names below 32. They were all on the Heaven Immortal ranking. He immediately knew that Mo Ing saved him again. He just didn't understand how Mo Ing knew Yuan Le Heaven would use such means. You're going to forfeit? He looked at Su Ji in confusion. He cursed in his mind. If Su Ji forfeits, how can he be killed? Even the three immortal kings of Zhongpiao Heaven looked at Su Ji in confusion. Su Ji said, "My sea of consciousness was damaged in the second round. I can't participate in the third round." Ping Zhou Immortal King said, "Since you're injured, you don't need to compete in the third round. Stay behind and rest. Prepare to go into the Dao-Seeking Tower." "Yes." Su Ji quickly answered and passed a jade slip he carved on the spot to Yi Mo scanned. His guess was right. Yuan Le Heaven indeed used this tactic. They set up a lot of powerful people in the latter half. Luckily, the only people from Zhongpiao Heaven in top 32 was Su Ji and him. Now, people could only challenge him. People were scared of Jian Sha, but he wasn't. Seeing this, there was nothing he, Immortal King, could do. Luckily that Mo Ing was still there. He would kill this Mo Ing no matter what. Now that someone left, the tournament will progress in the same way. The 33rd will replace Su Ji to guard the stage. One person in the guarding 32 will not be challenged and will progress into the next round. After the top 32 are decided, the tournament will progress into the same way until the top 8 are decided. Immortal King regretted no setting the rule that if you abandon the third round you lose your progress from the second round. But he didn't say this before, and if he said it now, it would cause public outrage. Yi Mo sneered. He was fifth. As long as he wasn't killed, he would be challenged non-stop by Yuan Le Heaven people. This rule was set up to target him. Ike really did set this up against Mo. He didn't believe with all these Yuan Le Heaven masters, an abstruse immortal middle stage couldn't be killed. Immortal King casually scanned Mo and continued every tournament. The top 8 of the third round will be rewarded. This time will be so as well. The top 8 of the third round can each get a Heaven Immortal spot in the Dao-Seeking Tower. The second will get a Great Immortal spot on top of that. The first will get a Status Immortal spot on top of that. As for the final Status Immortal spot, it will be decided by the first of the overall tournament. The top 8 of the third round can each get a Heaven Immortal spot in the Dao-Seeking Tower. The second will get a Great Immortal spot on top of that. The first will get a Status Immortal spot on top of that. As for the final Status Immortal spot, it will be decided by the first of the overall tournament. With this, the tens of Immortal Kings on the stage looked serious. There were only 2 more Immortal King spots and 1 Great Immortal spot. From what he said, it was almost certain that the 2 spots were decided by the first of the third round. Whoever got first in the third round might also become the first of the overall tournament. In fact, Immortal King was a little worried too. Before, there was usually 4 Immortal King spots and they always belonged to Yuan Le Heaven. Even if they weren't all theirs, there would be at least 3. But now, 2 of the 4 spots had nothing to do with them. How could he not be worried? He was confident in letting Guan Feijian get first. He knew Guan Feijian's power. He could easily kill Great Unity Immortal. In Abstruse Immortals, no one could threaten Guan Feijian. That Mo Ing was good, but he could only accept death against Guan Feijian. Plus, he felt that Mo Ing wouldn't even be able to survive the first elimination. Yi Mo sneered. Luckily, he let Su Ji be first of the second round. Otherwise, He, Immortal King, definitely wouldn't create some first of the tournament thing. Guan Feijian was second for both rounds. If he was first for the third round, he would be the first of the tournament without a doubt. Yi Mo scanned He, Immortal King, and he happened to scan over too. The two's gaze met, and each sneered. For Yi Mo, this He didn't want him to be first, but he was going to be first no matter what. One was to send the three Zhong Piao Heaven Immortal Kings into the Dao-seeking tower. Second was to not let He go in. He could tell He was desperate to go in. For the final 8, it will be the first fighting 8th, second fighting the 7th, and so forth. The winners will ascend to semifinals. Semi-final matchups will be decided to drawing an opponent. After He finished these, the other 4 Immortal Kings also went on the main altar. When the 63 contestants left the square, the 5 Immortal Kings shot out 5 rays again. The Dao-seeking tablet immediately disappeared, and in a rumbling sound a huge stage appeared in the center. Everywhere around it was invisible restrictions. Yi Mo was experienced and could tell that these restrictions were easy to get in but hard to go out. This meant that if someone wanted to kill his opponent, this would provide the perfect setting. Even if the opponent forfeits, the winner can pretend he couldn't stop himself and kill his opponent. After all, you were still on the stage. But if you were smashed off the stage and your opponent chased down, then it would be unreasonable of the opponent. Guan Feijian looked provokingly at Yi Mo, but Yi Mo pretended he didn't exist. Martial brother Mo, you're really good. You reached the top 5 in the second round too? Sun Ran Goddess came over in an aromatic wind and looked at Yi Mo with admiration. She was very close to Yi Mo. Even her clothes touched Yi Mo's clothes. Her aroma was different to the aroma Zhenbingyu had, but it was very enticing. Thank you, Yi Mo answered while thinking of Qingxue and Susu. He had been to the immortal realm for a while. In another while, the Mou city might be ascending to the immortal realm. He felt his cultivation speed was too slow. Only when he reached Immortal King could he go back to Gonghua Heaven and annihilate Lu Jingquan. He was only abstruse immortal tertiary stage now. He didn't really like this Sun Ran Goddess. It was this indescribable feeling. Even talking to her didn't feel as comfortable as with Zhenbingyu, despite Zhenbingyu being cold. Martial brother Mo, you got a few heaven immortal spots in the first 2 rounds, but I didn't get a single one, Sun Ran Goddess sneered Yi Mo, saying with a tone of pity. Yi Mo was dazed. He didn't expect she was so straightforward. Clearly she was asking for a spot. How was she so shameless? Who did she think she was? He didn't even know her, and she just wanted a spot like this. Was she an idiot, or did she think he was an idiot? Martial brother Mo, be careful of Jiansha later, Sun Ran suddenly said and then added, I'm at Heaven Aroma Sect. You can come find me. Purple Rain Goddess had been watching Yi Mo. Yi Mo was the only top 32 of Zhong Piao Heaven. She even suspected that Su Ji got first, due to Yi Mo seeing Sun Ran Goddess go up to Yi Mo and talk. She frowned and even sneered. She was extremely uncomfortable with that woman. Now that martial brother Mo was famous, she went up to him. At the first round, she didn't even look at Yi Mo. As though hearing the sneer, Sun Ran Goddess suddenly looked lovingly at Yi Mo before retreating. Yi Mo frowned. Theoretically, she didn't seem like a superficial person. She just came up to speak shyly like this, and she thought he would fall in love with her? Heaven Aroma Sect? Yi Mo thought and used Spirit Will 9 transformations, searching every inch on his body. Those who want to challenge me come up. Guan Feijian flew onto the stage. His tone was cold but full of fierce killing intent and pride. The contestants seemed to be feared by this killing intent, and no one dared to go up. Guan Feijian sneered. Zhuang Tao, aren't you very strong? If you have balls, come up. Don't talk big and act like a coward. Zhuang Tao sneered. Is Yuan Le Heaven's Heaven Immortal ranking very good? I'm never afraid of a challenge. Martial brother Zhuang, don't be tricked. Len Qingshan immediately stopped him. Zhuang Tao patted Len Qingshan's hand. I might not be his opponent, but I need to tell him I'm not afraid of any challenge, not even him. He doesn't have the right to talk me down. Then Zhuang Tao broke free of Len Qingshan and flew onto the stage. Len Qingshan sighed and shook his head. He knew that if this happened to him, he wouldn't be able to resist. Yi Mo was looking at the stage, but he was focused on searching his body. He felt that Sun Ran goddess was a bit strange, and so was that aroma. After a few seconds, Yi Mo's face changed. He found what was wrong. There was a sliver of qi slowly seeping into his hair. After a while, that qi would completely fuse with his hair. As time went on, that qi would become his own qi completely. This meant that if he didn't find it, then a decade later, it would be extremely hard for him to find it. Yi Mo sweated cold. Just what sect was this heaven aroma sect? They were so good at leaving marks. This was him with Spirit Will 9 transformations. If he didn't have Spirit Will 9 transformations, he would have fallen for it for sure. After the third round, he would be going into the Dao-seeking tower. No one would know when he would come out. In that case, why did she still mark him? Yi Mo instantly locked that qi on his hair. He already realized why Sun Ran goddess did this. Yi Mo instantly locked that qi on his hair. He already realized why Sun Ran goddess did this. He was first in the first round and fifth in the second round. This meant he wasn't just relying on luck. Sun Ran goddess must be thinking why an abstruse immortal middle stage would have such results. She marked him not to trace him now, but after he came out of the Dao-seeking tower in a few years. She would bring the people from her sect. She just wanted to see how he got the results and if he had some sect's backing. Yi Mo didn't look at her, since she could think of doing this other people would as well, but they weren't able to do it. Even the 3 immortal kings of Zongpiao Heaven knew he had secrets, but they were clean and didn't interrogate him nor mark him. At this moment, Yi Mo didn't have the mood to care about Sun Ran goddess now. He was thinking about what to do. He felt that Meng Yong was low-key, but he did the right thing. But there was nothing he could do about the one round. He didn't know how many points were needed to be top 10. After he came out from the Dao-seeking tower, he would be dodging. However, did that Meng Yong not want to go into the Dao-seeking tower? If he wanted to go in, how could he get a spot if he acted to low-key? Did he have another way? Rumble, a huge explosion sounded and Yi Mo came back to his senses. He found in a short time that the first match had ended. Guan Feijian's huge drum smashed on Zhuang Tao. Zhuang Tao's body protecting immortal essence split, and his body was shattered by this huge drum. Zhuang Tao's essence spirit flew out, and before it could charge out of the stage, a sword ray appeared out of nowhere behind Guan Feijian's back, slicing that essence spirit. Martial brother, in a howl of agony, a blue-dressed, round-faced female immortal suddenly released her magic artifact and charged at the stage. But before she got to the stage, a power took her away. A great eternity immortal's cold voice sounded. The first match has ended. Guan Feijian's victory. Those who disrupt the tournament will be killed. Len Qingshan quickly pulled that round-faced female immortal and said, "Calm down. Martial brother Zhuang Tao is killed in a match. There's no use of you going there." This Guan Feijian not only killed Zhuang Tao, but also annihilated his essence spirit. Yi Mo had listed Guan Feijian as someone he must kill now, as well as Sun Ran goddess. If that woman didn't mark him and divide his attention, he could have saved Zhuang Tao. Guan Feijian landed off the stage, looking coldly at Yi Mo. His intention was clear. If he met Yi Mo on stage, Yi Mo was dead for sure. Len Qingshan gave the round-faced female immortal to another female immortal to comfort before flying on the stage. He waved his hand, and a dark red spear was released. A fear-bleak killing intent spread out. Even the restrictions on the stage couldn't stop that killing intent. Guan Feijian saw this, and his eyes narrowed. This Len Qingshan caught his interest, but pity he would have to be matched with him to fight him. Kong Sheng Heaven's Len Qingshan. Len Qingshan said, and waited for people to challenge him. Zong Piao Heaven's Yulai. A gray figure landed on the stage, and a sword magic artifact was released. Idiot. Yi Mo couldn't resist cursing. This Yulai was indeed an idiot. Not only was he not a match for Len Qingshan, Yi Mo despised what he did. Zhuang Tao was from Kongsheng Heaven, and he was killed due to Zhongpiao Heaven. Yet this idiot represented Zhongpiao Heaven to challenge Lin Qingshan. Zhuang Tao just died and Zhongpiao Heaven did such heart-freezing things. Bastard. Su Ji clenched his fists wanting to go on stage and kill this Yulai. This guy was too shameless. Zhongpiao Heaven friends are indeed nice. Lin Qingshan sneered and said nothing. His dark spear formed a row of spear veil. Yulai's sword suddenly split, turning into countless sword shadows. The people below the stage could only see sword shadows everywhere. The long spear was nowhere to be seen. There was only the sound of swords. It seemed that Yulai had the definite upper hand and had completely suppressed Lin Qingshan. Yimo's spirit sense was powerful, and he could see that Yulai was no match for Lin Qingshan at all. Yulai was ranked third on the abstruse rank, but compared to Lin Qingshan, they weren't on the same level. If Lin Qingshan didn't let him activate that sword shadow, he wouldn't even be able to. Indeed, as soon as those sword shadows were activated, there was a crack. Starlight spilt, and the sword was smashed away into the restriction. The restriction shook. Yulai's chest was swept by the spear, and it immediately sunk. There was a few cracking sounds. Yulai's chest bones were broken and smashed off into the restriction. He spat blood before landing on the stage. Then, Lin Qingshan's spear spun around his head like a coiling dragon. "I admit defeat," Yulai quickly said, as though fearing that Lin Qingshan was going to kill him. Lin Qingshan scanned him coldly. "If I wanted to kill you, you would have been dead already." Then he got off the stage. Second battle, Kongsheng Heaven's Lin Qingshan's victory. The Great Eternity Immortal set. Yulai picked up his sword full of guilt and ate a few pills before getting off the stage. He's an idiot indeed. If it was that easy to become famous, he wouldn't be ranked in the 50s. Purple Rain Goddess walked up to Yimo and sneered. Yulai challenged Lin Qingshan because he was ranked third in the abstruse ranking in Zhongpiao Heaven, but here he fell to 52nd. He wanted to write his name. Even an idiot could tell that Kongsheng Heaven was helping Zhongpiao Heaven, yet this Yulai challenged Lin Qingshan just to show himself. Purple Rain Goddess looked down on such person. She turned to Yimo and said, "Martial brother Yimo, you're in the top 32. You need to be careful of that Yuan Le Heaven's Jiansha. He's ranked 6th on the Heaven Immortal rankings and very cruel." Yimo nodded. "And martial brother Yimo, be careful of that Sun Ran Goddess. I feel she isn't a good person. I can't tell why, but it's a feeling. She doesn't really like you." Purple Rain Goddess felt it was inappropriate to say such words, but she said it. Yimo smiled. "I feel she's a good person. She's probably not what you think. You don't need to worry, it's my time to go up, we'll talk later." He was marked by Sun Ran. He believed that woman can hear him. Then he flew up. Qin Warren was beaten by a Duanjing Heaven Abstruse Immortal in a few moments. Before Yimo even spoke on the stage, there were more than 10 contestants wanting to charge up. To them, Yimo's power was the weakest and easiest to fight. But there was a figure faster than them all. A gray-robed Abstruse Immortal landed on the stage just a few seconds after Yimo. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.